領域展開無料空所
Hey anime fans, thank you so much for checking into this special episode of 3 out of 10 Anime. Before we get started, a couple quick notes for you. Number one, we recorded this live all together in the same room, so we definitely suggest checking out this particular episode on our YouTube channel, 310 Anime. You can look that up. You can also find it on our website, 310anime.com, 310anime.com. You can see all of our facial expressions, see how we react to each other. It's a really fun time. Also, because it's recorded live and we have one microphone, sometimes some people are going to be a little bit quiet, some people are going to be a little bit loud, and when we all start laughing, it's going to peak a little bit. So slight headphone warning. Thanks for being patient as we figure out the in-person recording process. This is our first one. Sure, it's going to get better in the future. Thanks so much again for checking us out. Let's get started. What's up, everyone? Welcome to 3 out of 10 Anime Fans recommend you check out this podcast if you ever get reincarnated into another world, aka 3 out of 10 Anime. This show is all about having fun conversations to rank anime based on a standard set of criteria so they can be compared, contrasted, and recommended. I'm Brett.
I'm Skylar.
I'm Braden.
And we are hosting a special episode tonight, recorded live in front of a studio audience here in my house. We are doing a special episode of Jujutsu Kaisen and Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie that released just a day ago, or two. We've got a couple guests here that we're really excited to introduce. This is Sony, resident weeb, multi-thousand episode viewer, and Jujutsu Kaisen swag aficionado. This is Jason. Jason is a overall great guy. He's into sales and stuff outdoors and entrepreneurship and has watched a few anime. This is one of probably one of the few shows he's seen of this genre, so we're excited to have him give his take on it.
His noob opinion?
Yeah, noob opinion. And then we have Dre. Dre is the newest member of the anime club. For more information on that, you can actually check out our website, 310anime.com, 310anime.com. Dre, is there anything you want to let us know about you?
I build gaming computers, I cut hair, and I don't do a whole lot else than that. So anime, mainly, yeah.
Fun
Things are
fact.
important to me. So
Yeah, exactly.
I actually met Dre at the barber shop. And that's where I invited him, and we're glad he's here.
Yep.
So, if this is your first time joining us, we're really excited you're here. Let me give you the agenda for each episode. We start out by giving our one-sentence impression of the show/movie. Then we go into what we call PE, or our personal enjoyment, which is a scale of 1 to 10, how much we liked watching the show on our own personal rubrics. Then we give our technical score, which we all come to an agreement on together based on 4 categories on a scale of 1 to 5. And then we get an overall technical accomplishment for the show/movie. So, covering Jujutsu Kaisen, first thing, spoiler warning. There's going to be spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, go watch the movie, go watch the show, come back and watch this after.
I can't stop myself.
There's also
please don't.
there's also mature content in this show and movie, so a heads up on that. But without further ado, let's get started. Sony, what is your one-sentence impression of Jujutsu Kaisen?
Just Jujutsu Kaisen, not the movie.
Let's do the show first and then do the movie after.
Yeah.
Reskinned Bleach in modern time.
Okay.
All right.
Jason.
Come back to me. I'm almost there.
I will give mine. A more gruesome, less good Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Sky?
A guy who likes to protect and punch things gets paracausal powers.
Ooh, words. Paracausal? Words. That's why we keep all you guys. So my enjoyment word or phrase, my pick of it, it's just a bunch of filler episodes and two best friends meet and just absolute amazing stuff happens on the screen.
Okay.
Beautiful, amazing, bloody violence that's just out of this world.
All right. I love it. Go back to you, Jace.
The only thing I have is actually just 2 words.
Go for it.
And it can sum up my whole opinion.
which is just quality production.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bars.
Okay, so let's go in and give our personal enjoyment ranking 1 to 10. Let's go the other way around. Dre.
For the show, I'm going to give a 7.
Okay, what is a 7 show to you?
A 7 show to me is something that I really enjoyed. I would watch again, and I would recommend it, but it's not anything I'm going to go out of my way to say, oh yes, this is awesome, and you have to devote your time to it. It's a great show. I think people should watch it. Not the best out there, but I love it.
Okay, all right. Braden.
So for my scoring on Jujutsu Kaisen, the show is just a 6, which clears it from a lot of anime, because anything above a 4 is something that I would recommend other people watch, something I enjoyed at some significant amount. It was fun. It was a fun anime, and it didn't really land anything impactful, but it was nice to watch. So I'll give it more than a 5. I'll give it a 6.
Okay. Yeah. Before Skylar goes, I have to give one disclaimer. Some of us here haven't seen the show. Some of us haven't seen the movie, so we're getting a little bit of a mix.
That's true.
With that being
Who
said,
hasn't seen the show?
Skylar, what's your score?
What's your score?
Okay, so yeah, with that bit of a disclaimer, the rating that I currently have given Jujutsu Kaisen is a 2. And the reason that it has a 2 is essentially because I got bored of the show partway through the season and just stopped watching, and I don't really care to return to it. I was planning on watching it before we recorded this, but obviously that didn't happen. And so it is currently sitting at that 2.
Sure.
But as soon as I finish it, then it'll probably jump up to maybe a 5 or a 6.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. It's
And
respectable.
have you read the manga for it?
I have not read the manga.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, so for me, I give Jujutsu Kaisen a 6 as well, just like Braden. So for me, a 6 is a good show that has enough things going for it that keep me interested and wanting to watch, but it either like failed to excite me, or there was enough things that made me uncomfortable about the show that I just didn't like super get into it. A 6 is a show where my finger starts to twitch on the right arrow key on my PC, and I kind of be like, okay, okay, something interesting's happening. That's where I start to twitch my finger on the right arrow.
Being the skip 10 seconds or whatever.
Skip 10 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's my 6. Jace?
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in between 6 and 7 because you do a technical score, right?
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
a separate technical
Yeah,
score.
right.
So if we're just doing enjoyment, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll go like 6.5. I liked it. It was good, but I agree. It didn't suck me in. I wasn't like just on the edge of my chair the whole time or something like that. But it was good, so I give it a 6.5.
Okay. Sony?
I'm on the opposite. I gave it an 8. An 8 for me is like, I love it. I want to keep watching it. I need to know more. And which every single week I watch this, waited every single week just for the new episode every single time. So I was concurring on this one.
Okay.
Nice.
Sweet. So now we get into the details. What made it an 8 for you? What made it a 2 for you? Like, what stuff did you guys like and not like about the show?
Oh my goodness, there's just so much to this show. Like, just to break in, like, where we're pulling from here, man, I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen, like, starts at My Hero Academia. It pulls in, like, the monster creation from Mob Psycho 100. And then it's, like, the animation kind of style. It's, like, leaning towards kind of Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan, but it still has a lot of, like, base anime roots. It's kind of just a lot of just things that they wanted to do, and it's...
Do you think they did their humor well?
You know, that's one of their shiny points.
Because I thought the humor was actually all right.
The humor
Like,
was really
I
well
was
placed.
cracking up. Like, I don't like when they do the whole like serious, funny. But for some reason, they actually pulled it off. Where it was
Yeah.
like, I'm like trying to take it
They
seriously, but
had
I'm
good
also
comedy.
laughing.
Like, it was good.
Yeah.
The thing I love about the humor is because you never know when it's coming.
Yeah, seriously.
It hits you at the most random times. So you'll notice, like, they'll say a line, something's off about that immediately.
Like, I would- yeah.
Especially
So
because
good.
two of the most pivotal characters in the show, the main character Yuki and Blue Eyes White Dragon. What's his name?
Gojo.
Yeah.
That's
Those
the
two-
best description.
Those two characters are the ones that drive half the comedy of the show.
Mhm.
And because they're the ones that come in with the snappy bites, like I love that.
I would
Make it win.
say the other character that drives him a good amount of the comedy is Aototo. Big man.
Oh yeah.
Big man.
I love him.
Boober butt guy.
Boober guy.
No,
Yeah.
Toto.
I literally texted my buddy
Oh.
at that scene where he's like, "What's your type of woman?" I literally texted my buddy of like, "Dude, I have to show you this because it's like that's so true." Where it's like your type of woman says a lot about a man. And if you give me a boring answer, it's like when you ask someone a "Would you rather" and they just say, "Oh, neither." It's like I hate you. I asked you a question. Answer the question, and so when he's like, your opinion on women is going to tell me a lot, and he's like, I just like their personality, and he's like, I knew you were boring. Like, it's such a perfect scene. Dude.
I am going to be honest. My 6 rating entirely soared up from before because of Toto and Yuki. 100%.
And what did
Yuji.
the blue-haired bad guy? What did he call? How did he describe Gojo? He was like he's frivolous. He's frivolous and but overpowered or whatever. Just that whole attitude of just like not caring but being super OP was just so funny.
He just
and awesome.
like he had this like very polarizing blend of being just an absolute muscle bound. He was charming.
Yeah.
He was vastly intelligent. He was insightful. He was poetic.
He's
And
everything we want in a man.
Yeah, and it didn't fit. But it was
we must
so,
be swift
Oh,
horses.
But it didn't come across. It didn't come
That's
across as
copyright.
like.
Oh crap!
As like, it didn't come across as like Gojo Ex Machina though. Like I didn't
Yeah.
just think that everything
True.
would be okay because he was this godlike character. Like half the show when
His
someone's
power-
gonna die,
and-
you still think they're gonna die. Like oh no, where's like.
And not to draw too much into the movie right now, but there's like one line from the movie that actually explained his power a little bit more, and just in passing.
Oh,
It
dude,
was
I missed it. You remember
Gojo
Yeah.
or Toto?
Gojo.
Oh, okay.
But it was just talking about how he can manipulate the space between, or like he can manipulate things on an atomic level, and like the space between.
Which
Like, okay, now his realm expansion like makes sense to me with like one line that tied it in nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
gonna
I think
throw
I
out-
interrupted. I derailed you if you were finishing your thought.
I
but-
just want to gush on Toto, guys.
Yeah.
That's what I
So I will say, tying into that,
really.
so for those who don't know, on Crunchyroll they have the Crunchyroll Anime Awards.
Yes, I just gonna bring
And
that up.
the fight scene of the year for 2021 was Ao and Yuji's fight versus, I think, the plant.
The plant demon.
The
or
plant
curse.
Yeah.
The plant
is the
curse.
phraseology.
That one fight scene of the year.
And
last
I
year.
okay,
Really?
I went back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Which there was some
I do
other
remember
cool fight
being
scenes,
like
but,
surprised that like,
Right.
oh wow, this is good.
and like
I do
Jujutsu
remember.
Kaisen, when they pull out a fight scene, they know what they're doing. That the choreography through the whole thing, just
Well, I actually loved how they used the powers too, where like they would pull a final move, but you didn't feel like it was just this infinite like I'm just gonna go even harder. And
It's
you're
not
like, oh,
like
and then
Kamehameha.
if they roll out more will, you know, it's like
a bigger Kamehameha.
yeah, no, like really, like you didn't feel like that would happen because like they were actually using their techniques and their moves. Like I think of that fight scene with the blonde witch girl, and she like pulls all of them in, and you're like, wow. You know, because it's like you didn't just feel like there was this infinite like, oh, they're just gonna one up them every single time. Like it actually was strategic, and you're like, who's gonna outsmart the other one?
Yep. Well, that kind of stuff, that kind of intelligent, power-based play is what I like about those kind of anime. Like I say, My Hero Academia does a lot of that stuff. Is they have powers, they set them up, and they let characters evolve their powers or use their powers in various ways. That's just the earnest pull with this kind of. And honestly, it pulls a lot of the same beats as My Hero Academia.
In
Like-
like a tenth of the time.
Yeah, it's true. In one season, we got like 3 seasons of My Hero Academia
man.
in
Yeah,
one
that's-
series of season.
That makes
Jujutsu
that
Kaisen.
makes my opinion even worse then because I thought that it kind of dragged on a little bit. So
I did too.
Yeah.
My point is that My Hero Academia is like
even worse.
It's horrid.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
oh, dude, after Black Whip, I watched like 7 episodes of straight filler. And I was like,
it's like you know how like you're pulling a piece of gum out of your mouth and you're like, oh, it's still going. oh, it's still going. Oh my gosh, it's still going. And you get to the end of your arm and you're like, someone else grab this, and it's still going.
And that's
No,
how
I,
My Hero
I
nobody
actually
cares anymore.
started My Hero, and I only watched up until like the end of the first arc or the first season, and I was like, that's enough for me.
Okay, reel it back in. Reel it back in. I agree with you. The fight animation of Jujutsu Kaisen is
Flawless.
top notch. Top notch.
Yeah.
Now, for me, that's where I draw the line. I love Toto and Yugi, right?
Yuji.
Thank you. I love them. I love their relationship. I love their fight scene.
What about Gojo? Did you like Gojo?
Yeah, Gojo's fun.
Okay, he was my favorite. I loved Gojo.
Yeah.
I saw this TikTok that was like, I'm not gay. Scrolling through, Gojo takes off his blindfold.
Oh,
Get in my bedroom.
Did you notice in the baseball episode the things underneath their name where it was like she left a mango in the fridge too long? I was like literally trying to blitz these episodes to skip them, and I was like, cool, baseball episode, I can skip that. But then I was like reading, I was like, okay, I gotta go back. I gotta read what these are saying.
Okay,
those were actually pretty funny.
You know what's funny about that? I don't know that because I saw the baseball episode and I was like, okay, nope, and I skipped the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I did too.
Oh, snap.
Wait, was there a beach episode in this show? Or did I miss that?
I don't think there's.
Is that weird?
I mean,
Isn't there supposed to be
We're
one? Am
failing.
I that much of a noob?
Yeah, it's not finished
They're in
yet.
Tokyo.
Yeah,
There's still be coming up.
okay.
It's possible when they go to countryside. or something.
I'm no anime expert, but I was like,
Where's the swimsuits on
Isn't
the
that
the
supposed to be?
boys?
Isn't that part of the
That's
thing?
the OVA.
We're evolving. We don't need
It's Okay, Bray, what were you saying though? You said that animation and those couple characters is where the line is drawn.
Yep, that's the line for me because the My Hero Academia, the Jujutsu Kaisen in this instance, just pacing ends up
I
eking too
agree.
long. I just
Totally
don't care after so long. Like, I like seeing the cool, interesting fights, but the
add on
talk
to that
up to
real
that
quick?
is just not my dish.
Because I actually thought that was weird to me. Maybe you guys can explain it to me, but I actually thought everything was so well done. The humor, the fight scenes, everything was so well made in quality. The animation was so cool to watch. But then the plot writing felt off or weird. Like I didn't love the plot. So I don't know why everything else was so good, but then the plot was like, why is there no A plot? Why is nothing this is weird. It's intense, and I feel like I should be invested, but I feel like every episode they're just giving me more oh, this is another move and another thing, and we're never arriving anywhere.
We've seen exactly one anime have this very, very meticulously slow pace that we actually were able to like the character diversity that it filled in with, and that was our good 5 out of characters. IQ, the volleyball anime. Because it moved at a very slow pace still, but we liked seeing the diversity of characters.
Well, it works for that genre better too.
Yeah.
And here what I'm saying is these characters, they're kind of anime copy paste with some cool skins on them. I like the character design, but
no, I agree.
you can kind of find these anywhere. And it's you do the finger thing that's kind of gross, and it's your arc nemesis is who you're allying with. That's kind of cool, but we don't get a lot of that conversation.
So while
main character is just he exists, but we're not going to focus on him.
While we're on plot, am I just unaware that how the manga is and how they translate it? Do they try to do certain things? Because I almost felt it felt very blocky of here's the occult club, we're never going to see them again. Here's these guys, we're never going to see them again. Here's these guys. Is that a manga thing? I was so confused where I was oh, I wonder what that character is going to do. It's dude, that was 2 episodes ago. You're never seeing them again.
So one observation that I have about manga and anime is that they do usually adapt manga into anime really well.
Because it
They
felt
normally
chapters.
do a good job with that. However, I do feel that it is a pretty large problem in manga where they introduce too many characters and then they try to do stuff with all of the different characters. And so what ends up happening is you don't care about anyone.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Because, My Hero was doing that for a while, and then they kind of realized, oh, this will literally get us nowhere. And so they cut back, and now they're only focusing on certain characters, which makes it better. Komi-san, that's a very, very popular manga that recently got an anime adaptation. And her whole goal is to get 100 friends. And that's just it. Or it's just after a certain point, it's like I could care less who these people are.
Mhm.
Because I don't care about them. There is another plot happening in Komi-san that I now care about more than the 100 Friends goal. Screw that. Go over here.
I felt that same pain.
The only time that doesn't apply is harem anime, because you just want his man. I'm just kidding.
See, but at least like shows like Angel Beat, we didn't get to meet certain people we don't know them for very long, and so like when they went off, it was like, cool, you have the same hair as someone else, so I don't know which one of you just died.
That show was a trip.
That show was weird.
That was a trip, yeah.
Jason, I had the same. One of the things that tanked my enjoyment was the same thing. Like as soon as Sakana came in, the demon guy that Yuji from eating the finger.
I love that.
I was like,
yeah.
yo, I want to see more of their.
The bad guy was so cool too. Yeah.
He's like one of my favorite anime villains.
The very seductive, charismatic bad guy.
But he was like, he barely did it. He barely did anything the whole show, and I wanted 10 times more of him and Yuji's relationship.
Yep.
And 10 times less of all the other random stuff that was in this show. Like the baseball episode. Like, even the final episodes, which were really intense and good. Like, I was just like, okay, this still, like, it isn't...
It could have turned into a really cool, like, anti-hero thing of, like, the wrestle with the bad guy kind of Venom kind of a thing, where it's like... Mm-hmm. But they just didn't. They just took it this
even
way
more
instead.
like Naruto and Kurama. They have conversations so much, and they start off hating each other, building up. But this one, it's like, oh, by the way, Sukuna's here now, can kill you at any time, just so you know. Yeah, he's gone.
And then he's out.
It was just
we'll come back to him.
He's taking a nap. It's his weekend, man. He's taking a snoozer.
Who's your
unlike us?
Every time he uses a finger, it's just like an alarm bell.
And Yuji's
Time for my shift. Here we go. Gotta show up.
Here, wait, let's see what's going
Ask him what his favorite character was.
Oh yeah, my favorite character is like Yuji and what's it called? Inumaki as well.
Oh.
Yeah, they're just awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For this mindset for the show, I feel like, I guess I keep the mindset of this as it's a longer term anime. It's gonna be a long running. So it's like,
what do you expect? Like,
so they'll probably, like other animes like long term, they throw in everything at you, and then you have to be a fan to like catch that reference from the beginning and bring it back all the way to like the 5th season type of thing. Like Bleach, like there's some things that from the 1st season throws it back near the end of the season. Like
the problem is Netflix just ruined ever being able to do that, because like now people just want like a whole season and
I'm
all
not
that kind of stuff.
about
And so
that.
like investing 10 years into a show just is hard.
But this is a Crunchyroll show right now, so it's like week to week, and I
oh really?
I did week to
So
week.
I don't necessarily agree with that. The reason being is that I like My Hero.
Okay.
But the difference between My Hero and essentially this is kind of like we mentioned a little bit earlier, is my investment in the characters. Where it's like with Yuji, I don't really connect with him. I don't really...
So what's your contention with that? Like, why do you like him then?
He's just so happy-go-lucky. Like he could be your best friend.
I do admit he was a unique protagonist in that he wasn't like all that broody, which I kind of like the broody stuff, but it was almost pleasant to see a main character that almost was like, oh, that sucks.
I'm tired of broody characters.
But he's not OP.
Yeah.
Like, you do think he's gonna die, but he's still go lucky.
Like, he's a character I want to, become. Like, I want to be Yuji. Like, everyone loves him, even though, like the other guy, disliked him at the very beginning. He's still
best friends or whatever.
Grown to love him.
No, I think that's a fair point, but...
And my whole thing there is that there's a time and a place for these things. Where it's like, if you have a guy where he's never depressed, where he's never down by anything, I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
But
to be fair,
now Yuji doesn't do that.
Yeah, Yuji doesn't do that.
But your point is, like,
Right.
it was harder for you to invest in him.
Yeah, for example, like, what's his name? Itami in Shield Hero. I don't like Itami because he's permanently broody, essentially.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah,
so,
like he never forgives and stuff, and you're like, come on, what's going on? Okay.
Since we're talking about Yuji Itadori, I have one point I want to share there, which is I did like his character.
He was my favorite.
At first. But I really disliked him by the end because he was... I really dislike anime protagonists that are like, oh man, killing these guys is bad. It's like...
the Batman thing?
The whole Batman thing. And it's like... This curse just...
Let's talk about Batman now.
This curse just murdered 6 children, and you're like, oh, I feel bad about killing it. And it's like, okay, like, sure, I want to see you overcome that. But even by the last episode, he's still feeling bad about it. I'm like, okay, I'm liking him a lot less at the end of the show.
And that is kind of my other issue with this, which is essentially the involvement of innocence, which is where there is a certain extent to where it has to happen in order for you to convey how evil these things are. So that the audience knows where it's like, yeah, this thing isn't messing around and it needs to be destroyed, and we can feel no remorse when it's destroyed. But like you just said, but when he's like heartbroken and that's what he's broken up about, it's like, are you serious?
I actually did like that they tried to sneak in some philosophical things in there, like when they did that play on words of the love thing, like the opposite of love is apathy, but the opposite of hate is apathy. But no, the opposite of love is actually hate. Like they did try to give us some like philosophical things, but I do think you have a good point where it's like it just some things became a little like convoluted.
What were you gonna say on it?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But what's your opinion like with that and like Tanjiro and his like barrier of like I don't want to kill it. I feel bad. I'm gonna cry for you too, and like
that character just is so touching though.
Okay,
wait.
And here's the other thing. Okay, yes.
Okay, yeah.
We'll do a whole episode on Demon Slayer.
I haven't caught up on Demon Slayer, and I actually don't want that to be spoiled.
Okay. I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Because I actually liked that.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'll just say that Tanjiro's justification and emotional reasoning for why he felt bad about it resonated with me. Yuji's reasonings were so much less.
Here's why. This is what I was getting at with the philosophical question thing. Was something I thought during the show was at the end they're walking. He's like, I feel bad, and she's like, I don't know. It's kind of just the job, and it's like there does become a point where there's this weird like what is a human really like. This is a monster, and he's feeling horrible about killing it. But it's like, yes, it's cool that they were trying to reflect that he didn't want to take human life, and even seeing these creatures as human kind of did make you sympathize with them, and you're like, oh yeah, they are human. But then on the other hand, you're like, but they literally aren't though. Like this, like they aren't humans in human form. They don't. They're miserable. They're suffering. Like him killing them actually was more like merciful than anything. But he kept wrestling with like, I don't want to kill this human that wants me to kill it, and it's not even really human. I guess.
But on that front, to pass it back to Brett, I've read all the manga for Demon Slayer, and I like Demon Slayer. I have,
but they're more human, is what I mean.
No. I have a few issues with it, including Tanjiro and just the cycle that he does with the demons. I have a few issues with it, but I like him and the way that is handled way more than Jujutsu Kaisen.
Well, it's because it's more justifiable in Demon Slayer.
So let's do this.
You get it more than you do in
Let's do this.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
We have lots to talk about still. There's a lot of things we like and don't like. Yeah. But we also have the movie to cover. So let's do this. Let's go around the room and have everyone like rapid fire the last few reasons for like things you did like, things you didn't like for the score, and then we'll flip over to the movie. So Skylar, do you want to go first?
Sure. I didn't like most of the characters, which is probably why I just grew bored with it, because kind of was mentioned, the plot wasn't really going that fast, and the characters, there wasn't enough of an investment for me into the characters for me to continue watching. And that's why I just lost interest and stopped.
Any other things, like anything else?
Just the animation, even in the show, was really good, especially the fight scenes. And yeah, they did a lot of things really, really well. It's just that the things that keep me engaged in the story, it lacked.
Okay, can I jump in next?
Right. Yeah.
So I want to shout out two things. One, both outros on both half of the season, money. I love it.
I almost cried. I was like, what am I watching?
I love it when they can get just a good slam and bop for a song, and that's just an easy just pass. Like if it's a bop, it's money.
Yeah.
Two, I love it when studios like make costumes for their characters. And they show them in a different setting. Because, like, the first ending that I'm thinking about really clearly...
I love the first
they're doing, like, a fashion show. They just went shopping, and they're just swagging down the catwalk, man. It was so fun.
I feel like the animation was actually, like, super well done, where you feel exactly how... It's like, that's how I feel when I walk out of the store.
I felt like the end had too much budget, and I'm so glad.
You're like, this is overproduced, and I'm okay with that.
That a couple of the ending songs are in my Spotify playlist.
Yeah. Okay, second thing. The main girl, the first year girl, I can't remember her name for the life of me.
Lara?
What was it? Nobara?
The hammer chick?
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked
Ubisoft.
her character. I liked her character a lot. I don't get to remember the fine points because I saw, when I was reviewing for this, I thought like the first 10 episodes, she's not in a lot of it. And then I just saw the Toto fight because that's all I wanted. So I missed a lot of the reasons why I liked her character. I just remember that I liked her as a female character in the show. Do you want to toss it out? Good job on her.
Yeah, they did a good job of not.
What
making
made her
Sakura.
stand out to you?
Wait.
If you don't
Unfortunately,
mind.
I don't remember.
I was just curious.
Dre.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, to me, I don't really have any feelings for her. She's the Sakura of the show. Like, that is her purpose, is to be there. Just be there. And so
That's
I
fair.
personally have no connection to her, and honestly, I'm okay she wasn't in the movie.
Well, and yeah, half the show when he was like, they thought he was dead. It was like they had, like, it only made the characters grow further. Like, you cared less and less. Like the more
Exactly.
time apart they were, it's like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so rapid fire things you liked, didn't like.
So one, I'm gonna agree with Brayden. Just animations are absolutely mental. The fight scenes are incredible. I love the art style of everything Jujutsu Kaisen. There are still a couple of issues I'll have with it, which we'll get into in the technical side. But anyway, I just think it's a really, really good movie. It's really fun. Or really good show. Sorry, but yeah, cool.
Sweet. Sony.
Okay. I loved it a lot because it's like a mesh of Naruto and Bleach. Because Naruto, it's like the trio, and like you actually have a good Sakura, who's not useless. And she win the award for like best female protagonist of last year.
Best female protagonist at the Crunchyroll Awards.
Because she
last
actually could do stuff.
I'd like to retract my statement so you don't kill me. Staring right in the camera.
I think she helped a lot of feminism. Let's see. I don't know. The music was amazing, high tier. I jammed to every opening ending. The thing that's funny though, like when the show goes, it's like intense. Someone just died. Happy dancing at the ending. It just like threw it
I
off.
hate that.
It was great. Visuals amazing. I actually love the characters, like the main characters, and then some of the side characters. The second year, and Gojo, and like the other characters. Like we don't care about the ones that are just 2D faces in the back, but like besides that, everyone's great.
All right. Jace, rapid fire.
Yeah. Let me just look at my notes. Okay. What was it like? What episode was it? The first or second? I literally laughed out loud when he was. I think he was introducing himself to someone random and just went like, "I'm into girls like Jennifer Lawrence."
Yeah, right?
Literally, was just like, what the freak am I watching? Like modern references. I don't know. It caught me off guard.
Yep.
The animation was dope. Is it just me, or did it seem like they used totally different styles? It felt almost like noir, very Bruce Lee, but very colorful. Like if it would have been black and white, it would have felt noir, but they just made it really colorful.
That's such a cool way of saying
Dude,
that.
and that's when I first started watching it, I was like, okay, this is kind of awesome. Like,
I like
very, yeah. So
That's a really cool.
I really like that. I
it.
thought
It's
that was
like corrupted, grotesque version of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look like they're trying to make it like we want to make this look gritty. It's almost like they were trying to make it look really good, and it came out gritty.
Yeah.
But it was like a good kind of gritty. I don't know. It was
yeah.
awesome.
Not my cup of tea. I'm gonna toss it in.
The animation,
The art style.
the
Just
art
like,
style.
yeah, like I was saying, it kind of leaned, like I said at the start, it leans towards Attack on Titan. Like, you see a lot of teeth in this show. You see a lot of, like, features in the chin and the nose and whatnot. And that, it was like half doing what those guys were doing. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Anyway,
It's fine.
So I don't know if I just don't watch enough anime, but I felt like the translation from Japanese to English to the subtitles was actually super good. Like maybe I've just been watching.
I mean,
really
it carried the
garbage
references
anime.
over. Like, that wasn't just Jennifer Lawrence. There was a couple references.
Like maybe I just don't watch enough, but I felt like it felt way more smooth, and it just the quality
Okay.
was just really good.
Money.
But other than that, yeah, it was just it was all right, but just really, it was like there was too much going on. There was like a whole episode for a backstory here, and this, and the actual plot didn't really move, and that was my biggest beef with it. Was I was like, give me what I
it's
want,
not
and you're
great.
giving me so much of like the side dish.
Yeah. I'll use that to jump into my rapid fire stuff. Go ahead.
I remember the other thing I was going to say when you
Yeah.
were talking about plot.
Yeah.
The plot in this show is like the green beans at Thanksgiving dinner. Everything is so good.
We're on the
and
same wavelength.
The green beans are great. Like, Mom made them. We love them. We'll eat them.
Oh,
But like, it's definitely the thing you're going like, okay, how much meat do I have to have with these to not taste this as much?
But you were just having a lot of green beans with this show.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
it had like just enough like
Oh
cool
my
action
That's a huge
sequences and
Money.
comedy and emotional response that it was able to keep me entertained, but I was so close to where I couldn't anymore. The plot is the only area where I really struggle.
Yeah, no, I totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
I'm actually going to use that to transition as well. I had a problem with the plot and the pacing, specifically the amount of time spent on tertiary characters. Because, so we got Yuji, we have Nobara, we have Megumi, and then they introduced Maki and Panda, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can accept this world. I loved Gojo.
Gojo was awesome.
He was so cool. He was my favorite. And then they were like, okay, and now we're gonna introduce this old man, and now we're gonna introduce Mai, and now we're gonna introduce Kasumi, and like all these characters. Toto, love Toto.
Love Toto.
Toto.
They spent so
Toto
many
bro.
episodes like on all of their backstories and all this stuff, and I just lost interest in all the side characters. Like there's this psychology study that was done that says you can have a maximum number of close friends before you actually start dropping some off and adding new people to the list. And for me, my limit with anime is like 5 people. And outside of that, I just don't need.
And Toto's 4 of them, so.
I don't need whole episode on Momo's backstory. I just don't care. So that definitely lowered it for me.
That's a good point.
So for me, that's why I felt it dragged. I felt it dragged because it focused on people I didn't
What's
care
the counter argument to that though? Like, if I'm a huge fan, I'm like, you don't get it, man. Like, you need that. Like what you were saying for like the future. Like, if you cut that out, it wouldn't work. Like, what's the counter argument to that?
Like the development, you grow attached to all these characters, and you need their story. It's kind of like Naruto. Like in the beginning, they threw all these characters, and every single shinobi, and like you learn every single background as in the first season too. I'm like, oh god.
You're just laying the seeds for way in the
But
future.
with Naruto, I'll answer that and then I'll get back into my rapid fire.
Yeah.
The thing with Naruto is, it's 1,000 episodes. I am expecting to get to know a lot of people in my year I spend watching this thing.
But what about like when I watched it when I first came out?
Okay, true.
Here's going to be my counter to that. So as we were kind of talking about this, one show came to mind as to one that did this really well, and that is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Here's why. You have your core cast. And one of my favorite characters, Zuko. When do we get his backstory?
Season 3?
Season 3. So this is late. This is so far into the series that
But it didn't feel
you
weird.
would expect us to already know his backstory. But the way that they did his backstory and when they actually finally threw it in, that's what made that episode so
So you're just saying
impactful.
Jujutsu Kaisen didn't do that?
No, because like we were saying, it was like, oh, introduce this new character and backstory. We don't have enough time.
I don't even care
to-
about their backstory either.
I
It's
did
like,
feel like Grandpa
that's
was a
the
cop
reason.
out.
like I
that's-
cared
that's
about
the reason.
Zuko.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know?
Whereas
There's a
by
lot
the
of
time
compromise.
they threw in
Well,
Zuko's backstory,
Yeah.
he was at a point where we really knew this guy.
But they didn't
And then
really
we
have
were
too many
given-
main characters though.
But,
Compared
but that's the good thing about
But they
it.
spent so much time on the not main characters.
But that's the whole point. Where it's like, how many characters pop up in Avatar: Last
Literally
Airbender
half
time
of
and again?
season.
They did
All
their
right.
thing. They had the
Okay,
first, and then
I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep doing my rapid fire. Let's keep going. So the other things I didn't like, I actually am personally not a fan of really gruesome stuff. And to me, this show was just it was dark, and it was dark most of the time.
A lot
and
of mutilation.
it's just not my personal style. I don't really enjoy Attack on Titan because I'm not into the skin ripping, devouring limbs thing. It's just not my thing. So
Yeah.
I didn't like how dark this was, which is why to me I enjoyed it less than Demon Slayer. It was a darker, less enjoyable Demon Slayer, and I don't think it was as good story wise either.
I feel like I could make an
Absolutely.
argument that Demon Slayer is actually darker.
Sure. But for me, those are the things I didn't like.
But that's
Obviously, the things that I said I did like: animation, fight scenes, super, super good. Art style, I wasn't sold on at first. I grew to like it slightly more as the show went on. Characters that I liked, but then characters that I was supposed to like, I couldn't give a flying crap for. Like Megumi and Nobara, I don't care about them at all, and I'm supposed to. It's the other two.
Point proven.
It's the other two first-year students. Yuji's.
I mean, I liked their
Classmates.
characters. Like, I liked them.
Just
But,
like
like,
the names.
but like,
And I'm not gonna lie.
but I just
when
well, no, I mean, I
Nobara-
like the idea of them, but I feel like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm not gonna lie. When I found out that Kagesaki Nobara won Best Female Character of 2021,
that is
I
kinda
was
weird.
upset.
Yeah.
I don't think she deserved it at all. I can think of 5 female protagonists that deserve it way more than her, but that's a
Dude,
soapbox.
I
thing.
haven't even
That's a
watched
soapbox.
that many anime,
Okay.
and I wouldn't put her as my top female.
Let's move on. We talked a lot about the show. Let's jump into the movie. Quickly, go around the circle. 1 to 10. How much you enjoyed the movie? Sony.
10.
10.
I didn't see it.
Didn't see it. 5.
7.
4.
9.
Woo-hoo! Okay, so
Wow.
if we were like in a boat, it would be like tipping this way with the.
I'll be the full.
I don't know. You guys have the lower numbers. I think it might be you guys.
Okay, it might be the So the boat reference, just so everyone knows, I'm saying this a little bit late, but if you're listening to this on Spotify or SoundCloud or somewhere,
Yeah.
the YouTube video for this one is where it's at. We've got all of us sitting in the same room. You can see all of our facial expressions and reactions. We suggest going and watching this one on YouTube. Okay.
Hold on, and I'm gonna make Brett as uncomfortable as possible throughout the show. So just real quick before we do that, I'll read off the scores, the reviews from like
Oh, please.
popular reviews,
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
the
yeah.
internet thinks, so that when we're called out for being idiots, they can say stuff like. So it's an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Okay.
I thought I saw something on Instagram that said it got like one of the episodes got one of the highest scores ever.
Wait,
Is this the show or the
No,
movie?
one of the episodes in
Is
the
it
show.
or the movie?
The show.
Oh, yeah, the show.
Yeah, so that was the show. It was
Oh.
8.7.
Okay.
The show also on MAL is 8.7, so same. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, there's no tomato score, but the audience score is 84%.
And what about the movie?
I can look that up while you talk.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds pretty close to a 9, my friends.
Well, no, that was the show.
That was the show,
Show.
not the movie. Not just
You
the
gave the show a lower score.
Are you looking at
Okay, so really quick.
Yeah, you look up the movie.
So I'm gonna actually start. Braden and I saw the movie together last night.
Yep.
And we had to watch it in 2 different groups because of scheduling issues. And specifically at the theater that we were watching it at, one night was subtitle night. The other night was English dub night. So we saw it on dub night. So I'm gonna do my best to not let the mediocre English dub impact the score.
No.
But I will say that, like, for me, the main thing about this movie that I didn't enjoy was twofold. Number one, I feel like where the highlight of the show was the incredible fight scenes, the movie really failed to impress me. There were only a few fight scenes. I tried really hard to keep track of the screen time, like in my mind. There was very few fight scenes in the movie, and the only one that was really technical and you could actually see, there was only 2. The one where Yuta is fighting Maki, and
their character of the movie.
And they're in the grass, and he has the wooden sword, and then the other fight scene is where Gojo is going ham on the whip guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the other fight
Yeah.
scenes were like Jason Bourne, shaky cam, super streaky
Dude, I'll admit,
art.
even the TV show had too much exposition for me. Like, even during the fight scenes, like.
So anyway, for me, the fight scenes actually failed to impress. And then the other thing that held it back for me is that it seemed kind of pointless, and it's a prequel. Yet season 1, Yuta is nowhere. Where is he? Where is Yuta?
The main character of the entire movie that they literally spend this whole arc resolving is not referenced at all in the series.
In the show. Like, okay, and then the final thing. I'm gonna share one last thing because these are the things that really just bit my butt hard with this one. The last thing is the final fight scene where Yuta all of the sudden magically for no reason,
Yep.
acquires 4 new powers with no explanation whatsoever.
It's the power of love.
Yes, and that pisses me off. Like
It's
that.
not enough.
When I
2022, we expect things from our characters these days.
when he and his girlfriend like pick up his classmates Panda, Toga, and Maki and take him to the roof, and he starts healing them, I was like, wait.
Yeah.
He can heal now? And then the main villain was like, oh man, that takes an extreme amount of practice and power. And it's like, he didn't even know healing existed up until he just did it all of a sudden? Like, I was very frustrated.
What's the movie review score?
I was very
Alright.
frustrated.
The movie on IMDb is 8.5. On my anime list, it's 8.58.
So it's pretty close to the show. It's only 0.2
Yeah,
more.
It sounds like a 9.
So anyway,
It walks like a 9 and it talks like a 9.
So those were the things that that bugged me about the movie. Other than that, the movie was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, it was
but,
fine.
But those things just really irked me.
Because that's where it lands for me. Is like I want to recommend something that's more than fine, and fine just doesn't cut it for me. This almost reached it. Like I was tossing for ever since
It kept
last
me up
night,
all night.
24 hours, just trying to figure out what to put this at. Either would I recommend it at a low 5 or a high 4 or something. And there's the fight scenes. I wish there was a more lock-in for that. The lore for Jujutsu Kaisen, I wish there was more for that. There was touches there that made me think that we were actually getting some meat out of this show. But that, and the fact that I actually somewhat connected to what they were trying to do with the loner Yuki main character, and how they moved that over to also the cursed speech guy. I can't remember his name either.
Toga.
Yeah, that they had like a shared thing. Like I wanted to bond with that and have a cool resolution for that, and it just didn't land again and again and again. It was fine. It just happened. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 happened, and now we live in that world where it is, I guess. So it's
In fact, I would propose that it has so little impact on anything that if someone asked me, hey, should I watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I would actually tell them, go watch the movie, and if you love the movie, go watch the show because it's even better. That's what I would say.
I would say the opposite. I'd say go watch Jujutsu Kaisen because that's the good stuff. And if you really want just these little extra bites, you can fill it in your own time.
I would say if someone was on the fence, like if they were like, I'm not sure I should watch Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't want to spend 24 episodes on it.
20 minutes for one episode versus 2 hours, I don't know. Anyway, that's from the hard side of the couch. That was yesterday's doing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, you were also kind of the same. Let's maybe get like the harsh side, and then let's
That's right,
let's
that's
see
right.
like what the.
Let's rock the boat.
So it's very I don't know, if there is a movie that is in a series, it is very rare that the movie has any impact on the ongoing series. The same thing was true with Full Metal Alchemist. The same thing was true with Sword Art Online.
Live action Attack on Titan.
It's just
We don't talk about
any
That's
live
not
action
anime.
adaptation.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Parasite was alright.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that was okay.
But, and so yeah, the movie is kind of the same symptom of that. Where it's like when it started, it was like, oh, I don't know this guy. He's not in the show, so something happens to him. I'm not investing in him.
Actually, and on that note, I for the longest time thought he was the spirit beast tamer in the first years. What's his name? I know we have it on the screen. I can't see it.
Megumi.
Megaman, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was Megaman. I thought this was his backstory. And like he was going to go from having this cursed spirit on him to like, oh no, I'm actually really good with cursed spirits. And I'm going to translate that here because in the series, even the super demon, I'm blanking on every name right now. Sakura, yeah, Sakuna. He like, oh wait, I would do something interesting out of Megaman. Like he was going to show me something interesting. I'm like, oh, is that going to tie into this episode? Nothing.
Yeah, and there are a few things that I didn't quite jive with as well. Like, oh, you're from a line of super powerful sorcerers, and you like created this special class curse.
They tell us in the last 10 minutes of the show.
Well, yeah, but sure. But even then, like as soon as it's over, it's like, okay, bye. Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Just dip right out of
Like
it.
that makes no sense.
Okay. Why did you guys give it a 9 out of 10? No. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just very curious. Like, what did you love about it?
Yeah. absolutely.
Well, if anything, you guys are in the minority because like most fans gave it close to a 9.
True. Yeah,
One
totally.
thing I will note.
Yeah.
is
I'm
that-
not saying that that's an argument that proves you're wrong. I'm just saying.
One thing I will note is that anime tends to skew on the higher end of ratings.
Oh yeah.
I will say that
As
Yeah,
opposed
look
as an observation.
Look at.
Wait,
I'll
hold on.
watch it again.
Hold
You already
on.
know, you already
Hold
know
on,
too
wait.
much.
I had to think about that for more than 3 seconds. Like, as opposed to what? Anything that, like, is accurately reviewed? Like, anime just gets
No,
buffed
just-
for no reason?
No, it's just like with other mediums, you will get a bigger
A
variance.
a more
in
fair,
scores.
like, whatever's
You'll-
considered
you'll
a
just see
fair
a bigger
rating.
range of scores. With
Right.
anime, the range is very small.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that, though? Like, what is it that makes it, like,
I don't
skew
know.
and review
The Naruto runners made it.
spread? Yeah. Like,
Feeling-
15-year-olds? Is that what makes it? I don't know.
No, I don't know, but it is something that I've noticed when I've looked through shows where it's like they all have very similar.
And it's not
ratings.
just the, okay.
It really is. In fact, if you look at like any show on our anime list, go look it up on MAL. All of them are above a 7. Every single one. like
So is anime
It's-
just good? Is that why, like...
Anime's just the best.
I'm
It
with
is true. It is true.
I'm with Skylar on this that like for some reason most anime scores just particularly high. Like all shows are just ranked pretty darn high. Like it's less common to see a show be ranked somewhere in the middle or low for the most part.
I actually don't remember if I've seen any middle or low ranked animes.
Oh, they're
I
on.
know there are, but I don't remember seeing.
Because their
anything.
names can get pretty bad.
So you
How
hear
I found a key in a lock in the
So
basement
here
of the
first
dungeon on
ever
the 3rd floor.
in 3 out of 10 podcast listeners, as we do, you get a diversity of opinion. Let's hear from the other side.
Yeah, let's hear this side. What do you guys think?
Sony, you seem
Well-
very excited.
Sorry, I was just clearing my throat. Like I'm clogged up or something.
Sure. You're very excited. Go ahead.
Okay, very stunning animation. Like, oh, beautiful, stunning. The creepiness of all the monsters, the curses are like you can feel the vibe, the shakiness of it. I love that part, and like the music, like the change of it, like it's so like dramatic
music is
parts.
really
The
good.
background story, Utah's like sad stories. Like I felt emotional just thriving from it. I mean, it is my genre, typical shonen jump genre. So it's like, yes, I love it. I love the happy protagonist and like, or this one he's not happy. He's more sad.
Yeah.
But he's soft boy love. Like,
Uh-huh.
and
wanna
you know,
hold him.
the power of love trumps all type of vibe.
Yes, the love Kamehameha was.
Yeah, right.
Love Ex Machina.
Yeah, love Ex Machina.
Oh.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
The thing that did throw me off was like, sure, like he did get all those powers out of nowhere. But
Really,
the
Jedi.
thing that did come back
But it was
to my,
cool.
The thing that came
No,
back to my
no, it
mind
wasn't.
was he is a special rank.
Okay. Actually, I'm gonna touch on that and rip that to stink apart because he does squat throughout the show. Like that's for power for the longest time is from her, and then she's also a special rank. No, I'm gonna disagree on that because she doesn't do anything. She has a sweet curse design. I'll give her that, and she like artisting her. But all she ever does is rip and tear, which is a great song from Dune, but is not a superpower, and is not explicitly said anywhere. All she does is just rip into one demon, and she just swipes other ones. She doesn't have the diversity of powers that special class have. I expect something out of special classes from this
I feel
anime.
like for that, it was like she wasn't actually special rank. I felt like it was actually him that was special rank the whole time.
No.
I was put into a special
No.
class, so I
Hold on,
actually
wait.
know what I'm talking.
Wait. The
I'm glad someone got it.
the main villain said that his objective and the way he was going to win the war was by obtaining
Right.
the special class curse. What's her bucket?
Yes, but she wasn't
Yeah,
actually
okay.
the curse. He's
But-
the curse.
No,
That's-
he
that's-
cursed
Yeah,
her.
he cursed her.
That was the
Like,
whole
he-
point that I brought up earlier, which is that he was special class because he came from that lineage of sorcerers.
Right.
And yes, he cursed her, but she was a special grade class curse.
Which is why the main villain wanted her. He knew that they both were special class curses. That's why he wanted her.
But,
But,
like-
to Brayden's point, she didn't have any powers other than big claws.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there's like not other like
crazy amount of powers introduced yet.
Okay, but let's talk about the plant.
We're talking
curse.
about just the movie.
But I know, but let's talk about the plant.
Okay,
curse.
no.
Talk
That's,
about the world.
Because if you're watching it as straight up as just the movie,
that's true. That's fair. Although,
everyone else is just like, I fight one-on-one. This guy just
Okay, but
kills everything.
if special class is going to allow magic healing out of nowhere and megaphone spawning out of nowhere and Kamehameha love out of
It's called
nowhere,
special.
she could have done more stuff. It's as
Flower.
its equivalent special class. She did not do that.
But does she know how to do that? She
I
didn't
don't-
study
that's
any of
true.
it.
That's true.
She didn't study.
They could develop that in this show. Like,
But
any even ounce of that.
she
Just
wasn't
so-
allowed to go out.
She was in the show?
Yeah, Flynn Rider hadn't gotten there yet.
Frying pan. Okay, Tony, keep
I haven't seen the
keep
movie.
going down your list. Keep going. down
Okay,
your
okay.
list.
Well, it's just that, and I do love the fact they kept building on the second generation classes because they were background. They're pretty much background the whole entire series, and now we're there. Like, I'm actually really loving these characters now. Like,
Wait, how old are they though?
So Jason, in the movie, the second year students are all
Freshmen.
first year students. So it's just 1 year before
I guess
Okay,
it's
still, how old is
High
it?
the first season. High school.
High school freshman.
So 15 to 18.
so.
Something.
Japan is 3 years, so they're all sophomores, and then
Mm-hmm.
the new in the season they're all become juniors by then.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
Keep
let's
going,
see.
please, somebody.
I mean, and their actions were persistent for what they were for all those second years. They referenced all the old stuff from the show and brought it into it and brought it to perspective. I kind of like the nice touch where Maki refreshingly likes Utah. Like, I kind of like that too. That's like
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
like
but
she was
Yes.
I almost hated her in the whole TV show, and then
Yeah.
this was refreshing.
yeah, it's just because like I will toss that like I miss the fact that any of this relationship building is not found in the series because Utah is not in the series at all. He doesn't exist. However, this like having a one-off show that's supposed to do some extra backstory
Right.
explaining. That's what this does. So I'll allow that. Even though I want this stuff to carry on to the show or like have representation in the show, we don't get Utah. We don't get that. It's fine. This is a side story.
And I kind of like the fact that more like modern, like more recent anime movies are towards closer and more canon. Like the Demon Slayer movie is straight canon now.
That's true.
Yeah, like old movies, like any of the other ones, are straight up like
Random.
nonsense. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck is this story going?
Yeah.
And this one's like, oh, this is a prequel, and it's like, I love that. Like it's actually something I can watch and retain it, and not throw it away and just shove it in a box. That never happened ever.
Even then,
Spaceballs should be canon.
even then, kind of like what I brought up earlier, the thing that I don't like is how the movie has little to minimal impact on the actual show itself. And this is where Demon Slayer actually, I think, did it better.
Even though
Spoiler
that
alert.
pissed me off for the longest
But
time.
yeah, even though it's like all they did was just rip off the first half of the next season, which is lame.
Which is where it's like, which is where I say they handle it better.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's
Yeah.
hear over here. What were the things you really liked about the show?
So
The movie. Sorry.
The movie.
yeah, so with the movie, I'm kind of weird, and that like I'm a very upbeat, positive person, but the whole grotesque, macabre aspect of this art style really hits a part of my spirit so hard. So I love it. I feel like all the curses, outside of a couple that take place in this movie, which I can talk about later, each of the curses feels like it has its own unique style and theming to it, and I feel in a lot of them, the curses actually match the emotions that they give off, which I find cool and fun building.
I want to toss something here because there was a lot of times where I felt a strange kinship to the demon setups here and the demon fights here because I've been playing a lot of the current game Elden Ring, and the fights that come out and like there's one curse that like lifts two fingers and then beams of light just like jet out of the ground or from the sky or whatever. That feels exactly like an Elden Ring encounter. That's exactly a Dark Souls kind of a fight. And that's exactly how they treat it too. Is like there's no backstory for what this guy is, but this is what he does. And we're just got to work with that now.
Yeah.
which was interesting.
You're really
thought
vibing
that-
with that emo
that was,
kid in the TV show. Is what you were saying. Is with it just strikes a chord. Reminds me of a different time.
Like in the early 2000s, My Chemical Romance.
That kid.
No, it's just like it's the two sides of the coin. Like I'm an upbeat person, and I have really probably not great interests. I have bad taste. That's why I'm here. We need the other side. No, we need the trash taste. Here we are. Anyway,
Wait, this is a
no,
podcast. That's a different podcast.
I love you
We love
guys.
you guys. You're great.
You guys are awesome. Anyway, but no, so with this one, like I said, I just love the art style. I feel like it plays in well, and the art style makes so much of the world. Every single thing that you see throughout the show, the movie, everything Jujutsu Kaisen has its own flavor that you don't see many other places in my eyes. But yes, I
It
see with, like,
communicates really well.
yes, like how earlier you were talking with Attack on Titan and the teeth and the claws and that whole kind of thing. I like that aspect of it because I feel like right now there's a monopoly on it because of Attack on Titan. When if I'm seeing creatures that are created from the darkest thoughts and emotions, yeah, they should be terrifying.
Mhm.
They should be the scariest thing I see. So I don't even care that they use that. I think it added.
Well, it just because I've seen another anime, Vinland Saga, which we're watching for Anime Club right now.
I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, I
Like
love that.
almost
show.
like matches the same Attack on Titan art style. To have this one, Jujutsu Kaisen and Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, be like a midway between typical animation or art style and that hard gritty lean was disconcerting to me. Like it
Jujutsu
wasn't
Kaisen almost
bad,
felt
but it
like
just was
fantasy.
weird to me to grab.
And I
onto.
should say that I haven't watched Vinland Saga yet. That's what my plans for this week are. And so, I haven't-
Man.
well, yeah, I just got back off vacation, birthdays. It's been a time.
Yeah.
But
Not to work.
I
Gotta
know,
watch the
I
animes.
know. Just do nothing all day. Yeah, no, having not seen Vinland Saga, I can't relate to that. For me, these are the two ends. There's no middle for me right now. So I'm sure that will change it when that time comes. But yeah, so the animation, the art style, I loved. I loved in this movie that things were compacted down because throughout the series I had problems with pacing and, like I said, the plot. I didn't feel like it was well structured enough. I think bringing in this love story, as cliched as it is, was a nice turn to see in a show that's so dark. Just
I
bring
agree.
in that light. It was nice. And the pacing, yes, it still was a little bit slow, but all in all, it's a 2-hour movie. It's not 4 episodes of filler. It's, okay, I can handle this until we move on. And so it was this neat little package that I feel also explained the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. It talked about the Jujutsu sorcerers to the point where if I want to get a friend into Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm going to tell them to watch the movie before I watch the show.
Yeah.
Because it's much easier to hook based off this movie for me, my own experience.
It's a great introduction.
It's wonderful. And because it chronologically takes place in that order too, nothing's going to feel out of whack by it.
Except for the fact that Yuta disappears.
Well, and
everyone's going to be wondering, wait, where the heck is Yuta?
Well, I was going to add to that. My wife was looking things up because she was wondering about it.
Yeah.
And according to...
Manga
Not
spoilers.
really. Apparently, people were saying that he's off training somewhere overseas. And
But
that
they could have at least said that.
They could have. And I'm not going to lie. Maybe they did and I missed it. But...
They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I looked, unless it was an after credit
It was
scene. Did anyone stay
plain-
for after the
Yes,
credits?
I
was
did.
an after credit scene.
There was?
Yeah, there was.
There was.
Crap.
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
He
Okay,
was sitting
spoiler.
Oh,
at
yeah.
a restaurant.
So he was sitting at a restaurant with the whip cracking guy.
Wait,
Just-
who was he?
Yuta?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yuta was
Yuta.
there with the whip cracking guy, and they were just like talking and hanging out like
And
they've
eating.
been training together. And then Gojo shows up.
Oh, it didn't feel
I'm-
like that to me. Like I thought they were like just met up and like he didn't expect him to be there. And like I was like, oh, this is really delicious. And like, yeah, I made it myself. And like, so he's like, I thought he was working there, and like he was trying to come and sneak and kill Utah.
No, that's not the impression I got.
I felt that. That's how I
No,
felt.
no. What I'm saying is like I feel like the whip cracking guy and Yuta now have a relationship that we
Yes.
haven't seen.
Yeah,
And
like
then just
everybody's-
Gojo shows up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So
I
Gojo's
didn't get
the
that vibe
outsider
at all.
here.
Yeah,
So
even
now
Gojo
I'm
didn't
even
freak out.
more upset that they don't explain that Yuta is not going to be in the show.
Well,
Not
and
yet.
That's something that again I mentioned earlier.
But it's been 2 seasons, man.
No, it's one season.
One season.
Okay, it's been 1 long season and he still hasn't shown up.
So that was one point that I brought up earlier, which is like the thing that would increase the rating of the movie in relation to the show is if it had more of a tie-in.
But then you get all these anime movies that have no tie-in.
But I'm not comparing it against other anime
comparing
movies.
against those. And again, the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you look at the Marvel Universe, they do a good job of acknowledging that something happened over there. And they give you essentially enough information. It's like, well, if you want to go figure out what happened to that chunk of city over there that got destroyed, go watch that movie.
Because they did nothing. What we see on the list here are characters, our second year students. You have martial art girl, you have sound guy, you have Panda, who is Panda. Hi, I am Panda.
Which
Best
they
line.
gave each one of them their own
And
episode.
then
in
you
the
have
show.
Utah as a second year student, but he doesn't show up in the series.
And
Where's the boy?
And like if they
Oh, is that
referenced
who was
him-
missing in the show that they said was like one of the 3 really strong ones or whatever?
No,
that's
Who
not-
was that third
that's-
guy?
But that's what I'm saying. Where it's like
We
if
Or
they
we got introduced later.
We don't know.
if they like referenced him more in the show, where it's like, oh yeah, there is a fourth,
Or just
second
said
year.
he just was
and
here
blah,
for a
blah,
summer
blah.
or whatever.
But what if this is straight from manga and they never introduce him later?
I'm saying they had enough time in the movie to throw one sentence in of Gojo saying, "Hey Utah, have fun training overseas.
Okay, so what's
Don't
your,
come back till you're ready."
Or even like, it's been a while.
Or
something
it's
like
been
that.
what's your rating if they did that?
the same.
The same.
We've beat this dead horse till it's a skeleton.
Curse. One might say.
Until it's cursed. So let's see. Is there anything else anyone wants to add, enjoyment wise, for the movie, or
Yeah.
unenjoyment wise? I want to add one other point, which is something that was brought up: the animation. So this is why I said that for me, Jujutsu Kaisen, including I'm comparing Jujutsu Kaisen to Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 to Mugen Train, and
But why compare them? Just look at each art form and just judge it for it. Like,
You told me not to compare, right?
The reason I'm doing that is because my one sentence recap was Jujutsu Kaisen is a worse version of Demon Slayer, and like to me and all of the things that I think Jujutsu Kaisen did well, like let's just take animation. I actually think Demon Slayer did animation better.
Oh, absolutely.
More unique, more beautiful character design. I enjoyed it more, with the exception of Zenitsu, who is garbage.
Yep.
I
Disagree.
I
disagree.
So anyway,
This is where we bleep you out, Sonny.
Yeah.
This is most of the things you say on the show.
Anyway, the only reason I'm bringing that up is because we keep bringing up like these good parts of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I keep thinking about Demon Slayer because they're so similar. But I think Demon Slayer was just done so much better. Anyway, we can put that aside. Is there anything else for
Yes,
enjoyment?
absolutely. We kind of just lightly touched on it. I want to give it a spotlight. That music, the soundtrack for the movie, absolutely untouchable. Yeah. Well done. Absolutely well done. Like, they wove in serious stuff, somber stuff, the more upbeat stuff, and, like, voice soundtracks over action scenes flawlessly. Just immaculate.
Yep.
Absolutely. It was immersive. It was enjoyable. And done. Well done.
Very good.
Yep.
Any other things?
It made me really like Rika, like the monster demon, the curse. Like,
Yeah.
usually I don't usually like curses. Like I usually trash them right away. Like, and this one I actually really cared for.
I would agree with you. My only thing is, I feel like this was a major trope of the girl who's all bright and sunny. We see nothing else about her, dead. Suddenly we have emotions for her because she's cursed. Look,
right.
that's a poor girl. That's a hard thing. You kind of don't matter. Like,
Okay, you know
if we took out 15 minutes of the other stuff that was unnecessary and put in more moments where we actually got to see a real relationship, like, or even just one heart-to-heart between them that actually mattered, I would have cared so much more.
It's like this show has a problem with their main characters and they're like cursed like alter egos.
It was a whole
Not
Tell
interacting with
me
each other.
how you really
It's
feel.
Okay, but it came out of nowhere. Okay, yeah, you know what's extra funny about that? Okay, Braden can confirm this. I'm not kidding. The second that she showed up on screen, the moment she was there, I turned to Braden and I said, "She's dead. He's gonna kill her." He didn't kill her, but she died in a car accident 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
Yep.
The moment she came on screen, I was like, "She's dead."
Yep.
Immediately called it
Yep.
because it was so tropey and so easy to see coming. And actually, that's kind of another thing I have where like the whole movie was just so predictable.
And even
And-
speaking of tropes, Truck-kun, again,
Yeah, the truck strikes again.
The truck strikes again.
Yeah.
Off camera, I have a funny story for you because of that.
Okay.
Biggest villain of all anime.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Any other points? Enjoyment, disenjoyment.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Skylar, did you have anything else?
It was, like I said, it was 7, which means that it was okay. There were things that I liked about it, but I'm not going to watch it again. I might recommend it, but it doesn't really rise
I will
that high.
absolutely watch it again if it's on the $5 day.
I'd go watch it right now.
I'm broke.
As far as the show goes, I really do think it's like something that could have been really good, but was good. But definitely could have been like really good. But there's just enough missing that you're like, oh man, so close.
I guess I want to explain one point I made earlier, just really quick. The fight scene thing, because I got a look from you about what I meant by the fight scene thing. Most of the fight scenes were zoomed in really far to where the action was happening. It was really blurry. The camera was moving a lot. It was hard to track what was happening, especially the final fight scene between Yuta and Geto. Exactly. You basically couldn't see anything that was going on. Like, you saw a glimpse of a sword. You saw someone flip. And then you saw massive energy beams. And it was just so unintelligible and unconsumable.
And if we're really to be honest,
You just weren't
basic
watching.
anime fighting.
You weren't watching fast enough, dude.
It was just, it was just
I
basic.
love that
You wouldn't
fight
get
scene.
it, dude.
But it just wasn't a good fight scene. And I say it wasn't a good fight scene because I'm contrasting it with the fight scene that happened 10 minutes earlier between Gojo and Whip Guy.
You're just not.
I felt like I
pressing
didn't care for that fight scene.
But here's the okay, sure. If you enjoy just watching colors move across the screen, the final fight scene was fine.
Watch One Punch Man.
If you enjoy actually seeing like how characters are moving,
You just don't get art, man.
that their movements are intentional, that you see an action and a reaction.
There's real choreography that would be based on real fighting. It makes it authentic. And my thing is, I'm not fighting you on that. Oh,
So actually, an interesting point on that, and that has to do with the difference between the way that, this analysis is more on Western comics versus manga, and that in manga, it is far more about the emotion, and so there will be a lot more close-up shots. That's why you have the colorful backgrounds that is not a scene at all.
But the close-up shots were so blurry you couldn't see anything.
But because in the manga, it is the emotion that they're focusing on, whereas in Western comics, you'll never have stuff like that in the traditional Western comics because they are very analytical, for lack of a better term, in where the characters are placed, and they're very careful in Western comics to show how they move and interact with each other. Whereas manga typically doesn't do it as much.
Let me counter that by saying I'm not talking about manga. I'm talking about like old school Japanese action films where the whole point of it was badass choreography. That was the whole point. And like the reason Jackie Chan has broken all of his ribs and his back 3 times is because of the choreography and the commitment to the art, which is where the Gojo fight was choreographed. The final fight was just a bunch of colors.
I thought the show looked very Bruce Lee style-esque.
Like when they did it,
really
they
was,
did it.
It
The
was
show
very
did it
like
better.
Which Jujutsu Kaisen has a pedigree of doing that in the
it
series.
looked really
But anyway,
good.
we interrupted your big thought.
no, you're good. Because I'm going to counter what you're talking about.
Okay.
And here's why I think it's cool. Because I'm not fighting you. That fight was incredible. And that one makes more sense. And it was more fun to watch to me than the ending fight. But here's what I like about it. Gojo fighting Crack a Whip Guy, there's so much going on and it's so physical. It's really cool to see them going hand to hand, getting into this. But what I like also about Yuta versus Geto is that they're using curses and they're going all out, where Gojo's pretty much keeping things just in line. Like, he's toying with the guy, honestly, at that point.
Yeah.
But this is a major fight for life. Where, we don't really care about Rika. We don't know much about her. But Yuta cares about it. So he's fighting his damnedest. And anyway, it's just... I liked having both types of fighting because I feel like it represented those characters well of their power leveling.
He's like, Yuji and Todo are just physical fighting. Utah, sword, and like apparently has special powers, and the other guy has special powers too.
Apparently.
Okay, yeah, apparently.
That's not helping your case,
but-
Tony.
I am a magic buff and power buff, so anything like special effects, like type of thing, is like it's mind blows me. Like Bleach, Zenbone, Zakura Kageyoshi, like that whole that sudden drop of also my power, and like when Utah got the microphone and just said that was like, oh, I was like got chills from that. Like
I couldn't get chills because it was so stupid.
I loved it.
It was so unexplained. He just randomly appears a microphone from another clan that he what? However,
he has creation powers.
okay, yeah, so stupid.
Oh, no.
But when Toga said like crash onto what's his name, the bad guy? Ghetto, and his head caves in and this giant hole, I was like, oh yeah!
I was
like, yes!
Like that intensity of like just power. Like I just love
Yes,
that.
and I love that too. But again, that moment was good because it made sense. When Utah did it, I was like, what the where did he get that? And me and Brayden look at each other and we're like, where did that come from? And then he yells this thing and the moment was lost for me.
I thought
so
actually
dumb.
in the same fight.
So dumb.
Reika, when they're like flying the air and they have a billion generic curses flying after him, Reika goes, rah, and dives in, and then they all explode. I'm like, what happened? What happened up there? There was like fire bombs. I don't know where any of that came from.
I was going to talk about this earlier, and you reminded me where you're talking about the ambiguous curses right there. That was the only thing that truly made me so upset in the movie that actually dropped a couple points in my technical score was they've made in the show and the movie so many cool creative curses that have their own style. And then when the fight with Geto comes, he's like, oh yeah, I just so happen to have 14 of the exact same thing coming at you all at once.
Yeah.
This wasn't a budget choice.
Why? True.
And we know that dude's loaded because he's been ripping off people.
Because during the final fight, he says, I'm going to hit you with all 4,000 I have saved up.
Where are they? Not to be-
Was
They were
it the
in his
mouth
store?
Yeah, but
put
like
it together.
But here's my other thing with that.
Yeah,
is,
it was the curse command.
And he
It was
said
the love
he
command.
literally said Rasengan.
Yeah. But you're taking the time to come up with all these different curses throughout the series. So why all of a sudden are we not, taking the time to do that? Because what that implies to me as a viewer is that, curses come from these different emotions, so each curse is its own different distorted form.
Yeah.
Are you suddenly implying that a bunch of these feelings are the same? Because then what are the curses? You've made the curses null and void at this point.
See,
by making them styled like that. Now I don't care about
Like
watching
some of them might be like just minor voices, like curses, like just or like just little things that just go around and just like.
But all the
follow
minor
people.
curses have their own style too.
Like, we saw
But like
that
some of them
scene in
just
the
follow
school.
people and just like attack. That's about it. That's all they do.
But he's saying like when there was like 24 centipedes and they were
Right.
all the same thing.
right.
See, and I didn't even really have to say the centipedes. You knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, actually, on that boat though, there is, I would say, like a class of curses where if they were required at like the same time, because you had that whole school of fish.
Yeah.
But
But that one
that
also made
Goga.
me upset. That was the thing too. That one also bothered me.
Oh.
But for me, I
I mean,
guess
that's
that
like
one made
anime
sense because it was like
monsters for you.
that group,
Yeah.
and it was in this shopping center, and they were all kind of that similar type
Yeah.
of feeling, and so the school of fish made sense because they weren't very big,
Mm.
but there was a lot of them.
It seemed to me they represented jealousy. And there was just little bits of or distaste or discomfort or something.
Well, because it's just like the annoyance of like, Mom, I want to go over there and do this. It's like, are you giving me this price? Come on, give me a discount.
yeah, hey,
that's-
my
that's-
brother got the candy first. Why didn't I?
Yeah, and that's what all of those officials were kind of whispering as they were going past.
For
And so it's just
sure.
like all those minor little frustrations, which is why it was that group.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying.
Exactly.
I see
But-
both. I see both.
But that was kind of my thing, was like, when you jump back to the series, there's like the three, I don't know, the fetus boys. Whatever those things are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, they all were different and unique, coming from similar circumstances, and I get, like, their birth is different, but even still, like, there was the three dudes in the white that were saying, like, try me on at the beginning. all of that bothered me because this is the first time I can recall throughout anything Jujutsu Kaisen seeing the same character models at once, like multiple times. It just,
That's a good point.
I don't know why that got.
Just on that fight scene, this is a slight change of subject, but what's the girl's name? The hammer girl?
Nabara.
Nabara.
Or
I'm
are you
not,
talking
Kugisaki.
about?
she's not like my favorite character in the world or anything, but that fight scene. What'd you guys think of that when they like get the blood on them or whatever, and she's like nailing her
Okay,
arm?
that
Like,
was sick.
she's not my favorite character in the world, but that scene was pretty.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I will give her
liked
that. That
Yes.
was pretty cool.
That was. Oh.
That was pretty cool, and they didn't do it in like a cheesy way where she's like, "I'm hardcore," like she was doing that,
No,
but it wasn't
she was-
cheesy. It was like kind of cool where you were like, "Yeah."
Oh no, it was so
like,
masochistic. Like
Yeah.
she like enjoyed doing it
see,
to
and
herself.
that's
I'm
what
like,
I love.
this is the first time I'm
Yep.
seeing something come out of you. I'm
No, I
interested in it,
love
and
it.
I'm really afraid
Well,
there's going to be another 27 episodes before I get it again.
Okay, so let's. I'm glad you brought that scene up. That's actually one of my favorite scenes from the whole show.
But I usually don't like that kind of female character where they try to like be really tough or I can take a hit kind of a thing. But the way they did it wasn't cringy, and that's why I liked it.
Okay, so we did our enjoyment for
We
both.
haven't even started.
It was a long conversation. So
we did both.
So we are going to
We're going to pause for an ad break.
Yeah. We'll be back after these short messages from our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
No.
Okay, we're gonna speed run
Okay.
technical.
Okay.
So
Yes, we got it.
So we're gonna speed run technical. The way it's gonna work is we've got 4 categories. We have art, story, characters, and delivery. And for delivery, we'll cover that when we get there. So the way it works is we rank the show on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being terrible, 5 being exceptional. 3 for all categories is meh. Meh is on par with what you would expect from a decent show. It doesn't really stand out for being exceptionally good or exceptionally bad. We're all going to give some points and try to quickly agree on a ranking of 1 to 5 for each of these categories, starting with art. And we're going to do the show and then the movie for each category.
Okay.
Yep, show, movie, each category. So for for
Just going
art,
around, just say it. Right?
Yep. So for art, we're gonna have music, animation, sound design, art style, and the intro and outro. Let's do the show first. Do you want to go?
Yeah, for the show, I'd give it a 3.
Okay.
Like I said, I do find so much of it beautiful, but I felt like the music in the show just did not hit nearly as hard as the movie. I felt like it was very lackluster. I would not be able to remember the music whatsoever.
Except for the outro.
I've heard that in Hollywood, that's actually usually a budget thing. I don't know how applicable this is, but
Oh.
what happens in movies all the time is they do this huge budget movie, and then at the very end, they're like, okay, cool, let's have this scene, let's have Leonard Skinner playing, and it's like, yeah, that's like $500,000. We can't play that song at this part of the movie. It's like, oh, I guess just put in like lame music then. I don't know how often it happens in anime, but it seems like sometimes
Yeah,
that
for
kind
sure,
of
but
happens
it's-
where you're like, oh, this isn't like as cool as it should be,
Yeah.
probably.
Music is an area where they frequently overlook or underdeliver.
I should give other
Or go
preface.
nuts.
I originally was actually in college focusing in film score. So this is something that I'm bringing this side of the table. It's
Yeah.
not intro, outro to me. That's cool. But
It's the fight
otherwise,
scenes
have you
and
guys
stuff. I
ever
agree.
tried to watch a movie where there's no music in the background and people just talking?
Oh yeah.
You don't
Never-ending
understand
story.
how much the score is there. So I'm someone who's actually listening to it and is paying
Yeah.
attention to it. The
Yeah,
show
music's a
gave
big
me
deal.
like nothing. Like, yeah, I liked both outros, but
Well, that's why Violet
everything
Evergarden is a
before those
masterpiece.
last like minute and 45 seconds, I was not impressed. Anyway,
So you said 3. For
yes.
art.
So I gave a 3 overall for art for the show, and then for the movie, I'm gonna give a 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Braden, show and movie, technical.
Technical. So this thing is reaching down from a 4 in my opinion. So, in that there were some really nice moments. I gushed about the outros. We gushed about the fight scenes in the show specifically. But there's just like I don't like the art direction personally, and there's a lot of other like say alt animation styles where it's not typical anime. It's more the wishy-washy like emotive stuff that didn't really land for me. So I'm gonna say 3.5.
Okay.
For the movie on art direction, I'm gonna give it 4 reaching up. I'm gonna give it a 4 in end because I really, really dug the music, and the art was generally good. Though again, I didn't particularly like the style. So 3.5 for the show, 4 for the movie.
All right, Sky, what are you thinking?
Okay. So for the show, I normally don't rate on music.
Yeah.
But the art, it seemed like they did really well on it in general. So I would give it a 3.5 to a 4, somewhere in that range. Because even watching the show, there wasn't any time where I saw just outright bad animation or just bad drawing. I won't dock them if I don't like the art style because that's an enjoyment thing for me. The movie, I mentioned this before, but for me, movies have a higher art standard. And even on the movie, there were only a few times where it was like, oh, the animation there isn't very good. But I can't call it anything other than normal.
Yep.
Whereas like when I was watching a regular anime, that's the level of animation I'd expect to see.
Yeah.
But the rest was really good.
And I kind of feel the need to
So-
say, too, again, a 3 on this scale is just, meh, it's just normal. So a 3 is not a bad ranking at all.
Yeah.
It's not dissing on the show.
Yeah. And so even there, where it's like kind of like you said, the fact that they go for a more realistic version of the anime, it takes a lot more work to do that. And so I will give it a 4.
Okay.
Sweet. I'm sitting right around with you guys. I think that I give a 3.5 technical in art for the show, maybe even a 4. I'd actually say a 4 for the show because I feel like it often delivered. Our rubric says often delivers powerful moments in an excellent fashion, and I think the powerful moments that you were supposed to get in the show, whether it was like a hit happening or a finger being swallowed or someone having or a curse being born, I think those things were actually done more often than not really well. So I'm actually going to give a 4 for the show, and I'm going to give a 4.5 for the movie because I feel like the music from the movie was so much better than the show. It deserves a bump up. So I'm going to do 4.5. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. Jace?
Yeah, honestly, I started off saying my overall vibe of the show was quality production. Like, yeah, the art was pretty good, and it flowed. The flow of the show was pretty good. I just felt like the pacing of the show wasn't very
That's
good.
in...
yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, the art played into that, too, because that's a huge medium for the communication is, like, what is it portraying with their... And I felt like they're like establishing shots and stuff like that were actually not bad. Especially the first episode was just actually really good in every way. Like the first episode was actually just really good. So art, I feel like I actually do. The music lacked totally, but I actually will give it a 5 just for the art because I feel like they did actually put their heart and souls into it, and you can kind of tell when you watch it that they like really cared about making this good and look good. And the intros and outros, like we need to make this look good. And so I have to give it a 5, but you know, not overall for the whole show, but I think their production was pretty good overall.
Even considering the music, you're still giving it a 5.
See, and the thing is, the music does hurt me, but it wasn't bad that it took me out of the show enough.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't... I have watched shows where I'm like, I don't like this music. It's taking me out of the show.
Sure.
It just wasn't as good as it should have been, and so the art, I'll give maybe a 4.5 or a 5. But
You mean the saxophone didn't pull you out of this one?
that probably would.
There are a number of shows where they have just a saxophone that comes in at the wrong time.
Oh, see, no, like I couldn't do that. If it's bad music, it takes me out. But
So-
it's just...
I give it a 4. It's overall like I felt like
This is for the show.
for the show.
Yep.
The music was I felt like it did hit for me for the at least the action scenes and the character talking part scenes. Like the in betweens, a little slow, and that's the thing that knocks it down for me for sure for the music. Art styles, I thought it was refreshing. Like it's like dark, like it's like a different dark than Demon Slayer dark. Demon Slayer like it's like more whimsical like art with like there's dark tones on it.
It's more brush.
While this one was like dark and like they're going towards the Junji style. Yeah, like style. I was like, it's starting going towards it. I'm like, ooh, this is actually nice, but not like that completely plot style. Like it's like I didn't want that, but like that it was refreshing to watch that in this type of anime.
Okay. And what about the movie?
The movie, I gave it a 5. It was like the anime, but on steroids. It just helped overall. Like it filled the gaps where it had to be.
Okay, so it sounds like we're kind of ranging technically for art for the show anywhere between a 3.5 and a 4.5. So do we center on a 4? Would we all feel comfortable saying that the composition of the art of the show often delivers powerful moments in an excellent fashion?
Yep. I think I would actually end up raising mine to a 4.5, I think, for the movie, just because I felt like in the art area specifically, I actually do feel like it's worth it.
I feel like the production value of what
Yeah.
they put into the art of the show compared to other anime, I do genuinely feel like was on another level. It didn't feel like they were trying to pump the show out. It felt like they took their time on it. It felt detailed. It didn't feel like they were using like similar animations from different chunks of the show to try to move the show forward. It's like every single thing was animated. Like I really felt like they had attention to detail and cared.
I'm going to disagree with you there. Like,
Okay.
Again, that the mismatch between like reaching towards the grittier style, I don't think it landed personally. And maybe that's not. Maybe it is just a personal thing where I'm just not used to having this hybrid. Again, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, like mish of art styles. It didn't.
Other
I don't
than,
think
other
it
than
quite
it being kind of
conveyed-
gruesome, how do you feel like it was like Attack on Titan? Because I don't.
No, it's like when I picture this, I'm
characters?
specifically picturing the human characters.
Okay.
Like I understand the gritty, the gory, the grotesque. That landed very well, but the human characters themselves, I think they really landed on trying to go for like a lot of stylistic, but they end up showing. I'm gonna say this again and again. A lot of teeth and a lot of weird grins and a lot of just ops eyes that often took me out of watching the show.
So one note about that.
Yeah.
So I guess a bit of background if you didn't know. So I do draw, and I do draw a lot in the anime style. And I have studies that I've drawn where I'll have a character and I'll draw in their full set of teeth. I'll draw it in where they're like essentially one tooth, which is the common anime style. And just iterations between the two and like morphing between them. And from a technical standpoint, if you put in more teeth in an anime setting, it is more unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the nature and what it is that Jujutsu Kaisen is going for, which is this creepy, weird, unsettling
Like when they're grinning at you from the
format,
side and stuff. Like I
yeah,
liked
where
that.
it's like,
I like
where
that.
it's like,
Yeah.
If anything, it means that they did that intentionally, knowing that it is unsettling
like,
and that
sure,
it is
yeah.
odd.
Well, I'm gonna say that's what I'm saying. I'm not taking it against it. I'm not so much pulling it away. It wasn't excellent, and it often took me out from enjoying it because I had to like look at this thing and like.
Because I really like Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan both. I actually just feel like this is almost more colorful. It's more magic. It's more fire. Like Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga to me is more like just real and it's blood and guts and stuff. Whereas this is more like explosions and fire and blue.
That's why I'm fine moving to a 4. That's why I'm fine agreeing at a 4 point because it did often deliver moments that I enjoyed. And the moments that I was taking out wasn't to the point where I thought it was a bad way of doing it. It just was enough that I had to like cognate it and be taken out of the story and have to think about it, which is a style thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was as fluid as I would want a consistent style to be. It didn't land for me.
So we're kind of going right now between a 4 and a 4.5. Right?
Yeah, 4, 4.5.
That's kind of where we're going. Yep. But what do we want to say for our final number? If we go to 4, would anyone be super?
Yeah, I think the music takes it down enough to make it a 4. Like, yeah,
for the show, 4.
For the show, 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're saying 4 for the show. For the movie, we were pretty much more around the 4 to 5 range.
Yeah.
So do we say 4.5?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of the things we talked
or even
about.
just accept. Like if you consider it exceptional, you can give it a 5.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see. The comment.
Calm down.
I'm just saying, like it's not like your rubric is a 10 out of 10 where it's perfection. Like you're not going for perfection. You're going for wow, that was really
So the
exceptional.
definition 5 is the composition always delivers powerful moments in an excellent fashion.
I wouldn't say completely perfect though. Like I feel like where we're using always versus number 4 being often.
I felt always for me.
And that was a comment that I said earlier, where it's like there was a few times where the animation wasn't as good, but it also wasn't bad. It was like, okay, that's normal anime, like show level animation.
Yeah, like that ending fight with Geto. It's just like, yeah, it is blurry and it's up close and it's a lot of colors. it's not that makes that bad. It just takes it down to a 7 out of 10. So I can't say it's always exceptional, outstanding. There were moments where it just didn't live up to it, and that's okay. I still love it.
Yeah.
To borrow a phrase from one of our previous episodes, it fell from a 5, didn't rise from a 4.
Yeah. Good. And I think Braden coined that phrase.
Yeah.
So if we go to a 4.5, everyone feel good with that?
I'm okay with that.
No.
Okay, so the movie is a 4.5. So for art, we have 4.5. Let's go on to story, talking about the show first. And we're going to do this one a little bit differently. So story includes plot devices, tone/mood, continuity, world building, pacing, rules and systems, and tropes. Now, since we're starting with the show, we're going to, like I said, we're going to do this one differently. I'm actually going to propose a score based on what we all talked about, and then let's see how let's see if people want to pull it one way or another.
Just for the people at home, we're not trying to shortchange you. It is midnight past for us at this moment, and we do love you guys. We do want to invest in this show. We're going to take the time for it. We just need to cut out a little bit tonight.
Yeah, we're trying to go a little bit quick. So
Yep.
so for the story, I would propose that for the show, it's a 3
Yeah.
based on our conversations. Does anyone want to try and pull it higher or lower?
I was hoping for a 3.5 because it did like hit the points for like my shows, so, like the criteria and stuff like that, and like.
But was there enough that made it?
So let's do this. So the definition of a 4 is it was often consistent, well-paced, comprehensible, consummate, on point in terms of tone and mood, and unique.
So it was like on somewhere borderline for me between those two. Like I love the whole world building for sure for it, 100%.
I agree with you. That was a strong point.
Right.
And unique. I do think it was unique.
The magic system was cool, but it just like every episode was, this is what you can do with the domain thing, but also you can do this. And then in the next episode is like, you learn this trick, but you can also learn this one. And I'm like, cool, when are we going to learn how this
Develop
works?
our own unique style.
And then every single episode was a new thing that changed the rules of the magic system. And I was like, oh, now you can do this. Oh. And it wasn't just new moves. It was like new rules in every episode. And I was like, oh, that's a rule now. And there's even one thing where, what's the sensei guy? The Gojo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He goes, oh, you'll be able to sense where the fingers are. And then later when he eats it, the finger, he's like, oh, how did we not sense it or whatever? He's like, oh, I think you just made that up. And it's just like, it was a really funny joke, but also just was like, oh, you never know what's actually people can do or not do.
And the thing is, though, is that there are two ways that can do to a story. Number one, it can greatly enhance the story. Because there are some stories that I've seen where they use like this, what's true, what's not, to great effect. And it's amazing. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
That's fair.
Because, in Destiny universe, the lore that I'm talking about here, there are a lot of philosophical debates in the lore between what is light and what is darkness. And it is very much put forward that we don't know. Here are all the different perspectives on it. And so whenever someone comes out, it's like, oh, this is what light is. You already kind of know. It's like, well, yeah, but maybe not.
But it's not necessarily what Jason said doing, which is just like introducing new rules.
And that's
really
where it hurts.
Yeah,
Because in that one, it
like
doesn't establish this pattern, this expectation of, hey, you said that, but maybe not.
Well, and I couldn't keep up either, though, where I was like, I didn't know what to expect anymore, because it was just like, even he said it, where he's like, oh, I didn't know. That would have been nice to know. And I'm like, well, in real life, like, you would have known that. Like, that is important. I don't know.
And that's where it hurts it.
I'm trying to go through art, story, characters, delivery, and just trying to find where we can like give commentary on the comedy of the show. Like that's either delivery or it's hearing the story where they're playing onto tropes. I think they played it on the more the positive side, where they kind of knew expectations and just like they just threw in casual like our world references.
Their humor was really good. I was pleasantly surprised with how good the humor was.
Well, and I was going to say too, specifically for tropes, I feel like they did play into a lot of tropes, but in some way, they made the trope work for the character. Like, for example, Toga, with him being like the shy, quiet guy who's the member of the team. And like, it seems scary at first. it kind of plays in that, like, yeah, he actually is a really nice guy. And then you find out, oh no, he's had a bad life too. And that made him so human because it wasn't some big, oh, this happened to me when I was young, so I'm this way now. It's like, no, we've grown to, we gained an affinity for this character, and so we used the trope to put him in there, and now they're building upon him, and they're giving him proper justice doing so, to the point where I think the trope was beneficial.
Same thing with Nabara, if I could really quick.
Yeah.
Her female character, she wasn't Sakura from Naruto. She was actually useful, even though she wasn't as useful as I wanted her to be. And she was annoying a lot of the time for me. That final episode where she's freaking pounding the nails, I was like,
so dope.
Yeah, let's go! Like,
up until there, she was just biting.
She was just there. She's not doing anything. She's just there.
We have to rein a little bit. Crew, we are leaking our characters into our story.
True. So real quick.
Well,
the thing about tropes and what we analyze here is how they're handled. Because one writing or storytelling mechanic is that if you want a character to be forgettable, you write them as tropey as you can, and that's it. Because what that does is it allows them to pass in your mindset, oh, they're this trope, they then pass out. However, if they break that trope, it immediately calls attention to that character. It's like, oh, something's different about this guy. Why? It creates interest. And so one thing that we're doing here when we're rating tropes is how well these tropes are handled. Because sometimes tropes are handled so generically that it's boring and it doesn't contribute. Sometimes tropes are handled so well that it's like, hey, they did this trope, but they did it so well, I don't care that it was that trope.
Yeah.
So we have to where, like Sony was saying, for people that like this genre or like really this hits the beats that they like. We have the commentary where the tropes are handled in a way that we find agreeable, but a lot of the show is just average or has things that hurts it, but really doesn't stand out in its storytelling.
Yeah, I think its biggest Achilles heel is really just plot. Like if they could have fixed plot and pacing, it really would have been one of my favorite shows ever.
Plot, pacing, and rules.
Yeah, and rules, and you clean up like the characters as far as how many you have and how much time you spend on them. But I almost consider that plot because it's what you paid, what you're spending your time on as a show.
So
if they would have just fixed that, I feel like it would.
Take it away.
So do we edge this to a 3.5, or do we keep it at a 3? What are people feeling?
Keep it at a 3.
Keep it at a 3.
3.
And I honestly don't feel like it changed.
I love you, Sonny.
I wanted 4, and I edged it to 3.5. Let's go with 3.
I actually am on Sony's side. I want to edge it to a 3.5, but the majority of us are saying 3, so I'll go 3. Because Sony, I was reading, I do think the show is often comprehensible, unique, consistent, but I also see, so like I'm in a 3.5 or a 3. I could go either way, so I'm happy to go to a 3.
The way I see it is that it splits beyond 3. There's nothing that really hits 3 itself, but there's things that are up here, things that are down here.
Exactly.
Comes down to a 3.
Like to me, there are things that are good at a 4, and there's things that are bad at a 2.
Yes.
So the only thing I can do is go to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
That's what I'm saying.
Now characters.
Okay.
Nope. Now the movie.
Now the movie.
Yeah.
I did not feel it improved too much outside of maybe pacing and some nice extra world building. I would keep it the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now characters.
You said it better than I could. So do we say the movie's a 3.5?
I'd agree with that.
It sounds like you hated the movie story more than you hated the show story. Now you're giving the movie a 3.5?
No. I agree with him. He said, I don't feel like it improved much from the show. And I agree.
So that would be a 3.
I don't think it improved much from the show. However,
I like this.
So that would be a 3.
The story is so shallow.
See, that's worse than the show to you.
Okay, hold up. This is where we're at. There's a lot of things that are on par with it, but the pacing improves.
Okay.
There's
Pacing
a lot.
this
There's a lot of
hits
the
all my
levels.
often. This is all often. for me.
The pacing was good in the movie. I think he said it best.
Yeah, so 3.5.
Like, there's things that the show did.
I haven't seen the movie, so
In the movie's fashion, they know how to make a movie. They don't know how to pace a TV series.
yeah, that was
okay,
they corrected wrongs. I'm willing to say a 3.5.
Okay, 3.5.
cool.
It's a 3.5 movie. All right, characters. I'm gonna do
writing
this.
this down.
I got it.
Okay, go
Right
ahead.
here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing where I propose something for the characters, and then we can talk about bringing it up or down.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing, based on what I've heard from everyone, not my own, Sony, not my own technical, what I have heard from everybody, what I'm thinking is that it's a 4 for characters.
That's fair.
Pull up and down. Jason?
Bring it down.
Pull down. What are
Here's
you
my
thinking?
pull. There's no, like, we talked about it at the very beginning already, where it was distracting because there were so many. We couldn't get attached to them. We spent forever. Half of season 2 was literally a whole episode on like one thing. 20 minutes next one thing.
Sure.
20 minutes next. I
Now,
spent
is
2
that-
hours watching like.
Okay, but is that a character problem or is that a pacing problem?
We're talking about characters.
See, that's the problem though. Is it a character problem or is it a pacing problem? Because it's both. When the problem with the pacing is what they're doing with the characters.
But did you learn about the characters and everything about it?
Okay, so you're saying like if I had to rate the characters separate from how the characters affect the show?
The story.
Like if I
Why?
because like that's the problem
So-
with the show is you feel like
so
it's
as
splitting
a
its
reminder-
time differently.
As a reminder, the things that we were rating characters on is design, development, motivation, action, inaction, relationships, and personality.
So
Use those terms.
So development actually is where I get annoyed because it's almost like they did spend a lot of time on things, but it was shoved in there. It's like now I'm gonna watch 10 minutes about this robot guy, and I don't know why, and I don't. And
I'm
I
actually
don't want to watch this.
So Jason, to answer your question, that actually is totally in the pacing part.
Yes.
Like this is purely.
but the pacing affects how you feel about the
But
character.
we do have multiple
True,
criteria.
but that's in pacing. We're specifically talking about the individual characters, design, development,
See,
motivation.
Okay,
This is where I
sure.
jump into something. Is like we said this in early. A lot of these guys are just copy pastas.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
where it's
okay.
like
Fair.
There are some standouts like Gojo, like Toto,
Gojo, yeah.
like I mean,
Nobara, Yuji are good. Even Panda.
yeah, Nobara, yeah, notably has some interesting pulls for it.
Inumaki?
You gotta remind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I guess
he's
I guess.
all right.
No.
Character design wise.
no. Maki's the blade. chick.
Inum. The
The spirit.
Toto.
This,
Oh, Toto. Yeah.
This is proving my point.
okay.
The voice.
The voice,
Their
Toga.
speech.
Yeah,
Toto.
Toga.
Oh,
I'm
totally.
talking about spirit voice or curse voice.
Oh, I like
He's
it.
pretty just designed. Like,
Okay, let me throw this out. So in design, I think that they did pretty well in the design of most of the characters. They were unique. They had that going for them.
Agreed.
Development, slow, but that's more of a pacing thing. Action, inaction, they were very generic, which also goes into the motivations.
They tried
And-
really hard not to make them generic, though. Like, if you notice to the pacing of the show where it's like, I still don't know what the freak happened with that girl that she loved so much that, like, got ran out of town or whatever. The girl that she, like,
Oh, Nobara?
the main girl's,
Yeah.
like, her, like, motivating drive to, like, leave the countryside. I still don't know what happened there. Like, you still are like, what?
It's
Well-
very heavily implied.
So here's
Yeah.
my thing. I think it all stems back from what I loved characters. I gave it a 4.5 myself, but specifically because we don't know the motivations for people.
That's
it
what I'm
was
getting
so bland.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't see them develop because I don't know where they started.
True. Yes.
That's
you hit
been
the
my
nail.
issue.
You are Nobara. You hit the
problem
nail
with
right
that-
on the
no,
head.
no, the problem. Here's the problem with that, though, is they gave you 20 minutes for, like, individual characters to get that, and they still didn't give it to you.
Exactly.
Like, they would give you a whole episode about these twin sisters, but you still, like, don't quite care yet.
Yeah,
and that's-
everything
and
else
that's-
I'm vibes
But you're
across the board.
supposed to.
Yeah, and that's why for me, the motivation brings it down because it affects action, inaction. It affects relationships because motivation to me is how I design my characters.
Mhm.
If I don't know what motivates them, I can't write them
Mm-hmm.
because everything they do has to tie back into their motivation or it doesn't work.
And that's why I'm like,
So-
when you ask me if I like a character or not, it's like, it's Super Smash Bros. Like, I could like every single one of them, but, like, I'm not going to just shove it into a TV show and be like, look at all these characters, do you like them? It's like, well...
But I couldn't tell you every single thing about every single
Like,
character.
yeah, it's like, there's just too many, like, that's where the pacing comes in, where I'm
Well,
like, I'm sure I do
yeah.
care about that one, but, like, I can't care about it because it's such a
Sure.
weird part of the show.
So what we're proposing is that the characters are often, this are good on 4, Characters are often understandable, consistent, reasonable, adequately dynamic, and relatable. There are some things, because I think a lot of the motivations or what we know of them are copy pasta, like I've said, they aren't particularly relatable.
Mm-hmm.
They're entertaining, certainly, but maybe not relatable.
Yeah.
They, I'm talking on the bad points from now. Static dynamic, they often, like, they sit static almost the entire show. Like, there's very little movements that make happen.
Even Yuji doesn't progress that much.
Correct.
Dude,
Now,
Yes, that's what I'm
to your
saying.
point, though, slow progression is a bit different in things that are supposed to be longer boiling. Again, My Hero Academia.
Sure.
But it's...
I should still feel
is
something.
there... And the whole point that we bring back to this is when an event happens, is the amount of growth or regression what we would expect for the characters
Like,
given the
she
situation?
cried when he died, right? They had that whole scene on the staircase that was actually pretty cool where she's like crying and you're actually kind of drawn into it. Then when he comes back in the joke that's actually kind of funny, there's zero reaction. It's literally just like...
It's because they're completely shocked.
It's like, oh, yeah, but I know, they did the shock thing, but then they still didn't give you any, like, fan service feel good, like, oh, they're friends now, even though they started off as, like, kind of aggressive, now they're, like, closer. It's like, literally you got nothing. It was like, welcome back, dude. And you're like, I guess.
But also because we saw pretty much nothing of them while Yuji was gone.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
if we got to see more of them missing him, then I could relate to it more.
Or even more bonding before he went missing.
Now they're the side characters we kind of thought were dead and are now
yeah, and so this has to do with the relationship category, and that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, again, this is where it's like the characters themselves in terms of personality. I would say that the personality and design is what puts them in the good. But then because of their motivation and other factors that we're discussing, it takes them down.
If you break it down, it just dilutes the goodness that I think each character pretty much is. It just gets diluted by these other little things.
So, 3.5. I'm going to disagree with Brett and repropose a 3.5 instead. If not, leaning down to a 3. But I'll take a 3.5.
All of this reasoning, I think, for me, lands more to 3.5. I'm agreeing. So, Sony, what are you thinking?
I'll lead you guys to that.
Are you crying over there? Wait, is that actual tears?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's just breaking me down.
we need to hear some more stuff. Hit us with
you
some
need
stuff.
the counter argument.
You guys fought your side already. I think my side's like I can't fight back with this one.
For me, going down, it's
Wait,
like
hold up. Sorry, I'm gonna have to.
No, you're good.
Sony, we're doing you a disservice if we're beating you down. I'm not
it's
jumping
fine.
here.
It's fine. This one,
Please.
I think
Hit us 3 characters.
I thought the characters were relatable for me in general. Like I thought like Yuji and his when he's breaking down the bullying, like you feel like that realism of like the
movie next
character. Yeah, like the character. Like she was very authentic about it. Yeah. And then I don't know. I felt like it hit the points for me for the characters and then the.
So I'm gonna touch the question here. Is that are you? No, finish up. Then I got a question for you.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah. So what about this movie made these characters show? Thank you. What about this show made these characters stand out to you more than other anime?
I felt like they're persistent. Like the at least Yuji is persistent. At least for me, like Yuji is persistently there for me, and Gojo is like he's persistently comedy relief, but also edgy cool. Like I don't know. I don't know. His character is consistent.
So generic with the exception of a couple characters.
Yeah, but like you can't have every character be awesome. You have that's what anime is. You got the cool characters, and then you gotta have some generic ones like you will trash.
Like I mentioned about tropes.
Yeah. So what would if you stand alone giving this to rating characters? What would you rate this?
It was probably still 4. Yeah.
4.
But since you have a 3.5, I can go down half.
Especially since I'm polarizing really hard on saying these characters are average. That's where our 3.5 happens.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which was let's just go down to that.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
It was not a harsh drop. Yeah. It was not a harsh drop.
Okay.
Were you going to add something?
Not relevant. Keep going.
Okay. So we are saying for the show 3.5 for characters.
Sure.
Yeah. Movie characters.
4 to 4.5.
4 to 4.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I felt like these characters, we understood motivations a little bit more. Like even though we don't know much about Rika and we're still new to Utah, we got a little bit more of their backstory. We can see this is why Yuta's afraid to be around people and see people. We now understand why Rika is the way that she is. So now I have a point of connection to them.
Motivation.
Yes.
Motivation.
We have motivation. We have a reason. And so now I can build upon you and I can see you grow and change. And obviously we saw that with the release of the curse near the end of the movie. As well as one other big thing, and this is one I wanted to talk about because I don't think anyone's mentioned this. The conversation between Gojo and Geto at the end, when he was like, yeah, I sent kids because I knew you wouldn't kill them. And he's like, yeah, and I knew you would use kids as a tool. We've been seeing Gojo as beautiful, handsome man. And now I'm seeing something that we'll have to wait and watch how it unfolds.
Absolutely.
But now has me thinking about Gojo in a new light and making me think, are we the bad guys? Just a little bit.
They teased at that in the show with the...
Yeah, and so now just seeing that, it from, okay, that may have been leading into something, of, no, you're hinting on something here, and I'm excited to see it. Now I have a reason to care more about Gojo's character, other than big blue eyes.
Brandon, what are you going to add?
So, I want to say for the movie, I really like Yuta's character. I really connected with his feeling, like especially in the school being bullied and like not feeling like you can like speak out, or if you do, you're gonna hurt people. Like I'm not anywhere near that extreme at all. But my high school little self like kind of kid with that. I was sad, however, seeing that played out. Like the end of his character arc in the movie, and him just like blitzkrieging power out of nowhere. It didn't land for me from him being in a vulnerable spot. I like where he started. I like how he grew. I also like how he connected with the cursed speech guy. Like that bridge connection, I was like, oh my gosh, I understand so much more about the cursed speech user guy after that. The little flirting with the martial weapons girl. Like that was some real tender stuff that I feel like they had it and they didn't land it, but I liked where they started. Earnestly so.
Another thing too that I really, really liked with Yuta's character is the moment, and maybe it's cliche to some people, but when there was the twisted up knife from when he tried to kill himself. Because you can view that as, this is just some hard kid who's taking it bad and he's had some things. If you really stop and put yourself in that moment, this poor boy wants to lock himself away in another part of the world and never see anyone again because he can't even kill himself. He's that miserable. I'm seeing him from the depths of despair with something I can understand.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, I will agree with the 4 to 4.5 on characters because, the motivation, the action in action, and even just, there are relationships that are developed and explored in this movie are much better.
You know, it's fun. That's what you do. You just focus on like 4 or 5 characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying! You should watch the movie!
You should watch the movie!
Okay. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything else to add?
Oh, I mean, you like pretty much cover like the characters who are like you can relate to Utah and everything, and it's also development of the other ones, the other characters from the first season. So like it built more of their character, and I love that. The only thing like the whole consistency of Utah, and all of a sudden like the ending and overpower, and he's super carefree at the end. It was a little off-putting for me.
Yes.
I would dock them a little bit on consistency because he did go through a personality change.
Yeah,
So,
which can happen, but like that, maybe not so much. Also,
That's why it's a soft.
Right,
it's like,
right.
I lost it. Continue.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna ask
4
everyone
from
their
5.
favorite type of women.
This is a fall from 5 for me.
Yeah,
Fall
this
from
is a
5.
fall from 5.
4.5 is what I'm thinking.
4.5.
4.5? 4?
Yep.
4.5?
Yeah.
I know
beautiful.
the movie.
Okay, 4.5. All right, last category. Delivery.
Guys,
Delivery
really so good.
includes the translation of the subtitles, the voice acting, both Japanese and English, the script, and the edit. I'm going to go first and say something important here. Braden and I watched it dubbed. Everyone else watched it subbed.
Except for the one who didn't watch it at all.
Except for the one who didn't watch it at all.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
So, for the movie. But we're going to start with the show. And I will propose for the show that it's probably a 3.5 based on what we've talked about. 3.5, maybe a 4.
I don't actually truly understand the delivery too much.
Okay, so yeah,
We've
yeah.
worked this one. It's
Let's look
because
at
Transition,
let's
voice
look at the rubric
acting.
here.
Yes, please.
So for the translation, the voice acting, and the script, the whole idea is that a 5 for delivery, it like takes an already good show to the next level. Like it elevates the whole experience of watching it. Like, you know how like when you're watching like My Hero Academia and All Might comes on the screen and he just like his voice acting presence.
Oh,
God
damn. Just takes over.
Well, this might be cheesy to bring up, but I almost feel like a Tarantino film is good at that. Like he communicates exactly what he wants you to feel. Like that's the whole point of a Tarantino film.
And as a
like,
counter, yeah, sorry, are you done?
No, I'm just saying like that's what I would communicate as like what delivery is how well do they communicate what they're trying to communicate to you.
I want to give a poor example. Because the dub of Inosuke in Demon Slayer is one of the worst things. I love that character to death. I love that character even though he speaks like a freaking monkey in English. And I hate his English voice actor. But I still love the character. I still love his involvement in the show. But the delivery in that form takes points away.
Oh, okay. Well, like, so voice acting, like, I loved all the characters' voices, so like that brings it up for that one, just for the voices.
So let's look at the rubric. So it says
grandpa.
the delivery of the voice acting and of
Right.
the subtitles is always believable, genuine, understandable, elevating, and enriching. 1 being terrible, the delivery is frequently cheesy, inappropriate, incoherent, and bland.
I also interpret it as like, are they trying to make you feel? Are they doing their job and making you feel how they want you to feel? Like
Right.
if they want you to be scared, are you fetching scared, or are you just like, oh, this is kind of creepy? I guess like delivery is everything of how do they make you feel.
Brett, before we go too much further here, Brett, would you give us a proposal number?
Yeah,
We
so
start tangibalizing
You
this.
said 3.
the proposal number for the show
Yeah.
is 3.5, and here's why I said that. Like the comments that I kind of came up with that rating for. Jason mentioned that the subtitles were actually kind of a cut above. They did a lot of the
It felt like
a
it
lot of
felt
the
like it was pretty good.
like the kind of like modern references, and some of the slang was done really well. Some of the characters' voice acting was actually like pretty good, maybe slightly better than average. And then
Maybe average.
And then overall the script we've all made comments on. Like a lot of the comedy came from the script choices. The way they chose to like, what is this character gonna say at this moment?
The rhetoric writing, the actual like lines writing, not plot writing, actually felt really well done.
Yeah.
You know
that
what?
actually felt really good. The rapport that characters had with each other throughout the show, maybe not necessarily the relationship, but the rapport they had was actually really well done, in my opinion.
I'm changing the proposal to a 4. Based on everything we just talked about. You held up a 4 at the beginning.
I would say
No,
yeah,
I
if
just had my
plot
thumb
isn't
up holding my
Oh, I thought you were saying like he's gonna say 4.
No,
I agree with the 4.
My neck is just lazy.
What do you think?
Here's the reason I'm going to say a 3 for the show. Outside of a couple of jokes, I don't remember anything moving about the words. I don't remember anything crazy spectacular about the voice acting. I was just like, yeah, it's good.
Well,
I like
you
it.
made me realize that actually, what I think the mark of a truly good, above average show is when you go, oh, dude, and when we haven't really done it that much except for that one fight. We haven't done a whole lot of
For
like
the show,
for
Gojo
the
every
show,
single
like,
time.
for Gojo. But again, that doesn't make it a good show. It means you had a really good character. Like,
Well,
and we haven't done that.
And that's why I'm putting it so low, because for me, I feel a lot of my issues with the overall show and the film stem from the scripts both time, where I feel like part of the reason the pacing was so bad in the show was because the script, when something else other than the big item was going on, there was nothing in the script to keep you involved. It wasn't relevant information. It was passing the time to just say things. When in the movie, I feel like that's why the pacing was better, because there were very few lines said that weren't relevant or going to show themselves in the story.
And that's also where the edit category also comes in, which is where it's like you can take something, either cut it out, move it to somewhere else where it makes more sense. And for example, like the flashback, it was either of them in the sandbox or him walking through the hospital hall.
Yep.
And I feel like
This is the movie you're talking about.
Yes, but like this is an example of the edit,
Yes.
just so everyone's on board with it. And so there's like stuff like that is where the edit. So it's like, oh, if there's like an extended period of time that's not being used correctly. Because if it's supposed to be like an awkward silence, then it's supposed to be an awkward silence.
Yeah.
But if you feel like there's truly nothing happening and it should have just been cut out, then that's an edit thing.
Yeah.
So using the words I like using, I feel like this one is a 3 trying to reach to a 3.5 and not landing.
Yeah.
I think it's having notes that take it above average, but not enough to really pull it anywhere noticeable. We have some funny comedy moments we like.
I think the humor and the quality of the fight scenes alone give it an overall like above average feeling when you watch it.
Yeah, but
this is delivery.
Well, to his point,
the comedy's what
like the fight scenes and the comedy.
The edit of the fight scenes in the show, I think, was actually really good as well.
That's true.
Like if you're asking me if it's good or exceptional, I'm going the fight scenes and the humor were pretty good.
You know what? That's a good point. Is like the fight scenes alone could pull the edit part like just.
And that's what I'm saying. Where like everything else is like okay, it makes the show a little.
So
more
let's look at the definition of it for it. The delivery is often believable, genuine, understandable, elevating, and enriching.
I say a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I could go up to a 3.5.
Up to a 3.5.
Yeah, sure.
I was at 4.
So down to a 3.5.
What do you think?
Well, I'm reading what meh is on par with what you would expect from
a decent show. It doesn't stand out for being exceptionally good or bad.
I think it was above average good in production, humor, and fight scenes, and so a 3.5 I would feel comfortable with that in my opinion.
Okay.
Because it was above average in enough to make me like how much was I laughing and smiling and chuckling while I'm watching it by myself, and it's like. Yeah, that'll make it above average.
I'm actually in the 4 camp with Sony on this one, where I don't remember a lot about this show because to me it was not exceptional. I do remember the voice acting of most of the characters, and I think it was actually above average. However, I'd go down to a 3.5 if that's what the majority.
I think 3.5 is fair.
I don't remember a lot of voice acting from the characters in any aspect, but I do remember some of the lines. I remember like some scenarios being delivered well. So not the voice acting specifically.
I mean,
I remember more of the movie than I do the show, and that could be because it's more recent. But I felt
it's stuck in your head. I saw Yuji's voice in my head, and I watched it when it came out.
The movie's more recent, but I do think this is. I hate to say it, not in a too harsh of a way, but this is kind of a forgettable anime in the sense of at the end of the day, I'm not really like. Dying to come back to it.
It still hasn't gripped me because at this point, the only point of the show is, oh hey, let's get all of Sukuna's fingers and then end it.
Yeah, it's why I'm sitting at a 2 in enjoyment, is because I just kind of lost interest and drifted away.
Exactly.
Okay,
so 3.5.
So 3.5.
I think that's fair.
So cool, and then we can go down.
Yeah,
3.5. Okay, 3.5. Movie. Let's me and Braden go first
for the dub.
I'm actually gonna throw out there that the dub was not great. I think it was bad.
I disagree. I think it was average.
I think
dub.
The reason I'm saying bad, I'll give my side. The reason I'm saying bad is because Yuta's voice actor was particularly cheesy and bland because the voice actor was constantly trying to use a slightly higher voice. And it sounded a lot like this most of the time. And that just...
You did that very well.
On my end, I didn't notice anything again. Like, when I hear a dub, I expect, like, not really get a lot of emotion out of this. I didn't get it. I wasn't pulled out of it. I just listened to it. It just happened as a movie. I don't remember any of the characters' English voice actors from this point.
Okay, and that's fair. I think Panda and Maki did actually good voice acting. I think Yuta did bad voice acting. And what made it even worse is the children voice actors were the adult voice actors trying to sound like children. And that was
that's pretty bad. Dude.
Painful. Did you notice that? It was painful. It was bad. So I'm actually going to say I think the dub was bad, but that's what I expect from a dub of anime. Just so everybody knows, I expect dubs to be bad.
I hate them.
If I can cue in on this, then I would pull it down like you did.
I only watch dubs.
That's below my standards for a decent dub.
Scotch devil's advocate.
Tuesday.
See, and I'm sitting over here and I saw the sub, And there's a couple of voice actors that I felt really stuck out to me.
I agree.
Like the way that
Yeah, it's
Geto
in the
was
movie.
talking.
About the show, though.
That's a whoopsie, ladies and
What
gentlemen.
I meant by that was like in the show, I
No.
actually did feel like there was a couple that stuck out to me.
Yeah,
Whereas I
we've done
wasn't
the
just
show.
like, oh, it's generic.
But see,
Yeah,
like
that's-
with this
yeah.
one, for example, Rika, I actually really liked her voice actor. There was something about the way her voice worked with her design as a curse that, yeah, she was a banshee. She had that kind of shrilly tone to her voice, but you could tell she was excited and ecstatic, and it played into her character well because she was excited to be out. And she saw herself have a body, and she said, I'm so pretty. She's ecstatic to be out there, and it's terrifying, and that's why I loved it. She matched that so well with the voice.
You want to know something crazy? She was the best part of the dub too. She
Yeah.
sounded exactly like that. So
So one
that was good.
One thing about that, they did use a good amount of sound effects or like sound manipulations for her voice.
For sure.
But even then, you can still hear her delivery through all the warble effects they put on top.
Exactly, and you can put that on anyone, and it can become T-Pain of anime. At any point. T-Pain's
Well,
actually an incredible singer. Just look it up.
It's the whole, what is it, autotune?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
anybody can sing now with autotune, but no.
Yeah. Right.
I want to ask the sub watchers, how's the sub?
Actually,
Anything notable?
No, it was great. I was
Yeah.
like, honestly, like for how much Japanese like variety, I think the translation was pretty on par. Like for
There were moments when like someone would scream like this heartfelt thing, and when I would hear that, it took me out of the world, not in a sense where it drew me away from the show, but it woke me up like, no, I can't just keep watching this like a viewer. He's in pain. There is something here, and it pulled at my heartstrings a little bit.
So it was often elevating.
Yeah, I thought it.
I would give this a higher rating, honestly.
Yeah,
You
I
thought
honestly
voice
would give it. I put a
was
4.5
high.
for the movie.
like the dub, but you know, Japanese high is more typical.
Yes.
is more tolerable, and I actually love Utah's high voice. Like he was like more like the soft boy, adorable voice. Like
Yeah.
I really
And it's more believable in
Believable.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
believable.
because they have to use a different part of their mouth to make Japanese sounds than you do in English.
right.
But whenever you have English actors that try and compensate to sound like
They
Japanese
just sound
actors,
like-
it sounds bad.
They actually sound like cartoons, like
So-
compared to
Yeah. So
Okay.
despite the bad dub, it sounds like we're landing on a 4 for the movie.
Yeah.
I could take.
And I say bad dub, despite the what you would expect from an English dub.
Whatever it is.
I just say a 3 reaching down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So 4 for the movie for
Sure.
delivery.
I'm very happy with that.
Lock that in.
Greetings, anime fans. Pardon the slight interruption. We didn't have time to do the recap last night, so I'm chiming in here. The total ranking for the show, Jujutsu Kaisen, 4, 3, 3.5, 3.5, results in a 7 for our technical accomplishment for the show. The technical ranking for the movie, 4.5, 3.5, 4.5, and 4, gives the movie an 8.25 total, which puts it in our top scores of all time for technical accomplishment, tied with Sword Art Online, the first 14 episodes, and ahead of the second and third place being Cowboy Bebop and Haikyuu. All right, back to the program.
okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
High
we've
fives,
done
people.
it.
We did it. Oh my goodness, you're all beautiful.
Okay,
Oh.
ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching or listening to this podcast,
Good on you.
You are the
You're
true-
getting presents for Christmas.
you are the true champion here. If you're still tuned in, we appreciate you so much. We're going to make sure that on screen we have a recap of all the enjoyment and the technical scores. So for our last thing, let's really quickly, if you enjoyed Jujutsu Kaisen or Jujutsu Kaisen 0, what should you go watch next?
Everyone's been saying it, but Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. Go watch Demon Slayer. Let's get that out of the way. What other recommendations do you guys have? Let's go around the circle and put a bow on this.
If you haven't watched the old schools, like I feel like this can relate back to Bleach. Like it's like reskinned Bleach.
Okay.
Okay?
You
Bleach.
said it a lot in this show, so that's a good. I like that.
Jace, any recommendations?
I don't know what I would put it akin to. It's just kind of like a good it's a good show for its genre. It seems like there's action. It wasn't very adventurous, but it was like a decent combat action anime, like martial art anime. It seemed, but I don't know what I would compare it to.
I'm still thinking. Skylar?
Yeah, I'm also thinking there's a few in this genre that I've seen. I don't know. Some of the shows in this genre have gotten really low ratings for me because I just get disinterested and fall off watching them. I forget what one of them is called, but it's an older
My
one.
Hero.
My Hero's come up quite a bit.
My Hero.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not any ice skating in this one, so it's hard.
Okay, I've got my two show recommendations. Okay, if you like how dark and brooding Jujutsu Kaisen is, and you want something that's even more dark and more depressing, I'm gonna recommend Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh,
Wow.
If you want something that's truly just depressing,
Massacred my boy.
depressing, NGE. If you want something that is similar to Jujutsu Kaisen in that it eventually gets to the dark, brooding, and gruesome, but you have this long story, characters you actually care about, like, I'm going to recommend Hunter x Hunter.
Ooh, I was going to say the same
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Actually.
no way!
Nice.
Okay,
Yep.
It's a little bit longer. Hunter x Hunter is incredible. You have to, it starts out, you start Hunter x Hunter thinking you're watching, Pokemon or Digimon, and it's kind of happy. And then all of a sudden, about 30, 40 episodes in, someone falls into a spike pit and they die, and you're like, oh, that's kind of serious for this show.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit later, someone gets their head cut off, and you're like, okay, wait a second, this is not a kid's show. And then crap hits the fan, and it gets deep and dark fast, and you're like, whoa, what is going on? But it gets intense, and it's a really great show.
And if you're struggling to get into it, just be like me. Just make it through the Hunter exams, and then things will be fine.
Yeah.
It was too much.
you
Too
gotta
much.
get past that.
It is a longer show, but those are
Yeah.
my two recommendations. And then I gotta do one more. If you want fun fight scenes and not a lot of story, not a lot of characters, you just want fight scenes, God of High School.
Oh, okay. Cool.
God of High School, if you just want fun fight scenes.
I thought you were gonna pull out One Punch again.
No, I thought the exact same thing as you.
Yeah! Let's go!
We're actually on the money now. All right.
Well, do you have one that I didn't say?
No.
Okay!
I can't tie your name ice besides, the outro song was really good. The intro song of Yuri is amazing. So that's all I got. I think the style is actually very similar. So go watch that YouTube video of Yuri on Ice's intro. It's real money.
So good. For me, I'm actually gonna put up Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah! I thought about that.
Okay, yeah. Tokyo Revengers, it's gonna be awesome. It keeps your characters real and raw and relatable. I love them. I feel like the characters pick up where certain areas of Jujutsu Kaisen are lacking.
Mikey.
I'll
I'll have to watch it.
It's a really good show. It's not afraid to get dark. It's very real, and it has a lot of emotions and just some really great writing. It took me a second to get into it, but I really loved it by the end. That one, and my other one I would say, and this is off-brand, kind of like with your One Punch in the other video, I would actually say Mobile Suit Gundam 00. There's a lot of interesting stuff to it, but I feel like in some ways the self-sacrifice aspects, the way some of the characters behave and interact, it reminds me of it pretty strongly. It's a mecha, but for some reason it works in my mind. There you go. It's good though. Real good.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, now that you brought Hunter x Hunter, I got inspired by one other one, Magi.
Oh, yeah.
Magi is, feels like lighthearted at first, and then it gets more darker and darker, and actually gory at some point. It's powers and magic based, so it's kind of in the same storyline as well. Not so much more physical combat, but more the magic based side of powers.
I'm so sorry. I have one more.
I'm glad. I'm running 0.
Okay.
So absolutely.
Yeah, the other one for me is, if you haven't seen it already, I love it so much. Parasite the Maxim.
Oh.
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
It's so good.
Good.
Yeah. Enjoy.
You know, because I thought of a couple of different shows over it, like Parasite being one of them. I guess I could toss One Punch Man if you like the comedy.
Yeah.
Like, you want to battle huge monsters and have comedy? Not as gory. It's a little bloody, but they're monsters, so One Punch Man. Toss that in there.
You could also recommend Death Note, probably. In a weird way, you could recommend Death Note.
You better spell it out for me. I'm not saying
I was gonna say.
I'm
in
so
a weird
confused.
Way, Cowboy Bebop.
I feel
If
like
you
it
spell
gives
it out
me
for
a
me,
sense
then
of
you
guys are
fine,
losing me now.
But as for like story and plot and everything like that, I can't fully say I agree.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I get the feeling.
We're
like that
in
weird
the 1
off-kilter
a.m.
feeling.
recommendation. Close that buddy off.
Just wait till 2.
You know what? You should.
1 more hour. Let's go.
If you like this one, you should watch A Place Further Than the Universe.
Stop.
What?
No. Cut you off.
It's the opposite.
It's been great having you all tonight.
Yep, we'll put a bow on this. Thank you all so much.
Do we do like the overall
Yeah,
rating?
thanks for having us, by the way.
Overall rating.
Like of all the technical or no?
We're gonna have to just publish it.
Just
I don't
publish
have
it.
the numbers
Sounds good.
down.
Sounds good.
I'm going to put it up. So, yes, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate every single one of you. Thanks to our guests
Thanks
for
for
joining us for the
Thank
conversation
you.
tonight.
You guys did excellent.
This,
Thank you.
this is a special episode, so no announcement of what we're doing next week because this is coming out on Monday morning.
Yep. As soon as we can get it.
Again,
You're gonna have a fun weekend of editing.
we appreciate all of you. Check us out, 310anime.com. You'll find links to everything there, including the backstories behind the crazy people. Thank you again for listening. Have a great day, night, evening. Until next time, Johnny.
Good night, everybody.
Holy smokes!
Are
Are they all still recording is the question.
領域展開無料空所